A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Saying, command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, A Time to Build Up, was written by Joseph Mindell.
Who will return the years that the locusts have eaten? The earth of Israel is withered with neglect and parched with the heat of the unremitting sun. But the people who were scattered are gathered again. They relinquish to the locust its spoils, and take for themselves the years that remain. In the city of Tel Aviv, there was a man who wanted to be a farmer. In this, the second year of the state of Israel, where could he go to be a farmer? There is the narrow strip of land along the Mediterranean, and there is the arid wasteland of 3 million acres, the Negev, dry with the dust of 1,000 years. The man, whose name was Nathan, thought for a moment, then made his choice. They took him to the Negev, where he looked around him, wiped the sweat from his face, and said,
"It's hot, isn't it?"
"Yes."
"Is it always like this?"
"Oh, no."
"That's good."
"In July, it gets hotter."
Nathan opened his shirt, but said only, Then he knelt, took up a handful of earth, and rubbed it between his fingers.
"The earth is so dry, it crumbles."
"There's sufficient reason."
"Tell me, when did it last rain here?"
"It's hard to say."
"I see. Excuse me, isn't there some other place I could look?"
"Of course. There's the whole Negev to choose from."
"Then let's go further."
"Except it's all like this."
It is possible that Nathan shrugged. His eyes closed a little, but then the sun was very strong. It is certain that he sighed and said,
"Well, I'll begin with tomatoes and a few vegetables."
"You still want to be a farmer?"
"My mind is made up."
"I've told you there's no water."
"I'll dig a well."
"Most wells are dry here."
"Then I'll carry water from the nearest settlement."
"Nathan, if you grow anything here, it will be a miracle."
"I have no illusions. I'm a realist."
"So I see. But still you believe in miracles."
"If I didn't believe in miracles, how could I be a realist?"
A miracle is a happening poised on the thin edge between the possible and the impossible. It is a matter of the difference between what cannot be and what is. And this is a difference that is easily magnified. The wheel was once a miracle, and fire, and the plow, and survival itself is a miracle. In the port of Haifa, in the bureau concerned with immigration, there is a man who, in his own way, is another realist.
The immigration rate into Israel is now 28,000 per month.
if one were to say to him, politely,
You must be mistaken. That's, let me see. That's 336,000 immigrants a year.
Say 300,000 in round figures.
But that's impossible.
Why?
Well, for the simple reason that it means one immigrant for every 4 people already here.
Yes?
Well, don't you see? Statistically, it's the same as if America were to admit 35 million immigrants a year.
Very interesting, but the statistical department is next door. My job is with people.
What will you do with so many people? How can you provide them with homes, with work, with food? Israel's absorptive capacity is too small.
We'll build factories and houses. We'll work the land.
Be realistic. You can't feed a nation out of the dry valley of the Negev.
There are other necessities than realism. Long ago, in another valley, in the valley of dry bones, Ezekiel heard a voice that said, Behold, I will open your graves, and I will bring you into the land of Israel, and I shall place you in your land. In Europe, there are 6 million unmarked graves, and among them wander thousands still alive. Shall we say to those who survived, there is no room for you in Israel?
How should you know their names? They're ordinary people. A worker in Tel Aviv, an immigration official in Haifa, a farmer in the Negev. Ordinary people with common human wants. But their task is not ordinary. In a few short years, they must transform a country that is closer to biblical times than to the present. They must build new cities, create new industries, and bring the ancient soil to life. Each problem subdivides, like an amoeba, to engender new ones. There is, for example, the matter of internal immigration.
Internal immigration. The increase in population due to the rising birth rate.
This is good, but it brings its own problems.
I see from your report, Coleman, that you have no trouble with consumer demand.
None at all. As a matter of fact, we're not manufacturing enough baby carriages.
For next year, you're authorized to double your production.
Good. We'll need an additional allotment of steel amounting to about...
There's no extra steel available.
No steel? Well, then aluminum. We have a new design for an aluminum baby carriage. The body's mounted between the wheels in such a way...
Coleman.
Yes?
No aluminum.
When the Jews were slaves in Egypt, Pharaoh commanded them to make bricks without straw.
I'm not a pharaoh.
No, compared to you, he was a reasonable man. When he took away the straw, he at least left the clay. Listen, it's a simple fact. You can't make baby carriages without metal.
Now, that's not a fact. It's a superstition. The fact is that we need baby carriages. Well?
Well, I never was superstitious.
It is important not to exaggerate, for a story can easily grow until it is a little larger than the truth. And the truth is that these are not heroes, not workers of miracles. If their names are unfamiliar, that is to be expected, for they are ordinary people. Yet they have the uncommon quality of seeing without illusions.
Israel has no coal, no iron or steel, and few other natural resources.
We came a little late for the milk and honey.
They came, and others are still coming. There are houses to be built, and factories to be established, and food to be grown, with no tools but their hands, and the will to use them. And the small smile with which to say,
It would be pleasanter to have enough coal and iron and the other luxuries of civilization, but it is written, Woe to them that are at ease in Zion.
if ease is the measure, there is little woe in Israel. There is work, and a new condition of man which is called austerity. That is, eating bread instead of meat, drinking coffee without sugar, and sharing a room with another family. But for many, there is no work. The reason is simple, and the solution is clear.
More industries are needed.
The solution is clear, but the difficulties are many, and they chase each other in tight circles, like a puppy pursuing its tail.
More industries are needed.
But industry requires the import of raw materials.
And imported raw materials must be paid for by exports.
But Israel has little to export.
Mainly because it has so few industries.
The circle is closed, but not quite. There are crevices at which it can be stretched and opened, for Israel does have an abundance of some resources.
Here they are, Professor. 4 dozen oranges.
Oh, good. Empty the bag on the table. Now take the knife and get to work.
The knife?
That's right. Peel the oranges.
Oh, I see. You're going to make a fruit salad. A party in the laboratory, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, Miriam, what are you doing?
I'm peeling the oranges, just as you said.
But you're throwing away the peel.
Of course.
Oh, Miriam, throw away the oranges. I want the peel. Put it in the speaker.
Professor, I can understand an orange. You can drink the juice, eat the pulp. Even an orange tree has its uses, but what can you do with orange peel?
I'm not sure. Maybe nothing. But maybe if it's mixed with a few chemicals and some brains, we can use it to increase Israel's absorptive capacity.
Absorptive capacity, a phrase that concerns the scientists at the Weizmann Institute, at the Agricultural Research Station of Rehovot, at the Hebrew Institute of Technology. A magic phrase that measures the capacity of a land to support the people who live in it. It has been used for special purposes.
Consider the desert, the barren hills. Clearly, Palestine's absorptive capacity has been reached. By order of the Colonial Office, immigration is ordered to stop.
But absorptive capacity is a flexible quality that depends on the people as well as the land.
Workers are needed in a new factory.
My wife and I will go. What kind of a factory is it?
For the manufacture of industrial alcohol from orange peel.
The skin of an orange, mixed with genius, can stretch absorptive capacity to include 100 new immigrants, 1,000. Not the land alone, nor the people, but both together are the measure of a nation. The land nourishes the people. But if the earth is dry and sterile, then where is the source of nourishment? 2/3 of Israel is desert, the Negev, 3 million acres of land, once alive, now parched and empty. By what miracle can the barren earth yield fruit?
The wilderness and the parched land shall be glad, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing.
The desert shall blossom as the rose. There are many ways of saying it, as a dream, as a parable, as a boast of miracles to be performed. Today it is said in none of these ways, but rather quietly, a simple declaration of what is to be done because it must be done. If it seems impossible, then maybe it's because no one has tested the limits of the possible.
What's the use of talking? We have no other land and no alternative.
There it is. No alternative. Therefore, kibbutzim have been established in the Negev, settlements in the desert. In a caravan of trucks, carrying the most meager equipment, ordinary people set out to bring life to the dead sands. Some are young, some older, many have never worked on a farm. Maybe that's why they're not afraid to begin an impossible task, to be farmers in the desert.
This is the place.
The trucks stop on a small hill. And because this is only a time of armistice, and the peace treaties are not yet written, the first thing to be done is done quickly.
Ow! The points are sharp. That's the nature of barbed wire, Aaron. Don't spread the coils too far apart. Just as you say, Nathan. Ow! Aaron, maybe you'd better leave the barbed wire to us. Put up the tent. There are a few cots. Put them inside for the older people. No cots. Why not? The tent is for Sheba. Sheba? The cow. A calf should be born very soon. Aaron, you have a tender heart, but after all, a cow. It's not a matter of tenderness, Nathan, but efficiency. You have to understand, Sheba isn't just a cow. No? No. She's a capital investment. The tent is for Sheba. Benjamin, Nathan, everybody. It's twins. We're in. Sheba had twins. It's a good omen, Aaron. Nathan, I need water. 2 buckets. One for Sheba, one for me. A bucket for Sheba. Take it. And this is for you. A cup?
I asked for a bucket. I'm really thirsty.
It's a large cup.
Well, you don't understand. Every pore in my body is thirsty.
Aaron, bend down and pick up some soil. The soil has been thirsty for 1,000 years.
I can wait.
Men can wait, but the earth has waited almost too long. The first structure to be built is not a house to live in, but a water tank. Later there will be a pipeline and a small engine. Now the tank is filled with water carried in barrels from the nearest well. But the water runs down off the soil so quickly that the color hardly changes. The land must be taught to live again.
Today we begin to plow the field. You'll remember what the man from the agricultural station told me. I have put poles in the earth for markers. We plow from one pole to the next.
Nathan, I'm not an expert.
Here nobody is an expert, Benjamin.
But I've got good eyes. The way the poles are placed, now look at the first three. If we plow from the first to the second to the third, we're going in a curve. But if we plow straight across from the first to the third pole, we'll save at least 20 steps. 20 steps for only 3 poles. And there are so many poles.
He's right.
Of course, we should plow straight across the field.
Let me explain it, Benjamin.
Are you an agricultural expert, Aaron?
Me? I'm a tailor formerly of Poland. But this stands to reason. Now tell me, if we plow straight furrows, what happens when we water the field?
Well, the field gets wet.
Not even damp. The water runs down the straight furrows and gets lost in the desert. Now, look at the poles like a farmer, not a surveyor.
Well,
don't you see? The field is on a hill, and the poles follow the shape of the hill. Contour plowing, that's what the expert called it. We plow around the hill.
Well, the water still runs down the hill.
But slowly, because it stops at every furrow on the way, and at every stop some water is absorbed. This way, we don't lose the water.
Aaron, you've wasted your talents on a needle and thread. You should have been a farmer.
I'll tell you something. That's what I always wanted to be, even in Poland.
Then why not? Even in Poland.
Benjamin, a farmer can't plant a crop unless he is sure of his land.
Slowly the desert grows less empty. Each settlement is a spot of living green in the brown wasteland, linked in a chain that stretches across the Negev, and from Galilee in the north to the cities of the Mediterranean coast. The crop is not for one alone, and the harvest is sometimes other than food. One day, Nathan makes a trip to the agricultural station.
You're a chemist, aren't you? I brought you this.
What is it?
The plant. The weed.
I can see that. What is its name?
I don't know.
I don't know what you expect me to do with it.
I want you to find a use for it.
The fibers are too short and too weak for spinning into thread. Maybe it can be eaten.
It's bitter as gall. Even the cows won't eat it.
Take my advice. Forget about it.
Don't throw it away. You must find a use for it.
Why is it so important to find a use?
Don't you understand? It grows. It grows in the Negev.
Nathan, that plant you brought me 2 months ago, does it still grow in the desert?
Of course. Did you have me come to the laboratory to ask a foolish question?
No. I want to show you something. Come over to this table here. Well, what do you think?
A screwdriver with a yellow handle.
Yeah?
Some red dishes. A toothbrush. Should I have a special thought about them?
You might ask what they're made of.
All right. What are they made of?
Faith, imagination, stubbornness. All yours, Nathan. Also, a few scraps of stem and root.
What do you mean?
Go back and harvest the new crop. I've found a use for your weed.
Today there is a factory where a new plastic is made from a plant that grows in the Negev. Let it stand as a symbol, a double symbol, of the plant whose name is unimportant, and of the people in Haifa and Tel Aviv, In Galilee and the Negev, whose names are Nathan, Aaron, Benjamin, ordinary names, but their existence is equally unlikely and equally a fact. There remains a question that is pertinent. Of what is the fact of existence compounded? Knowledge is an ingredient, and skill. Another is the will to reach beyond the possible, to make reality of a dream.
Shepherd, how much water from Dan to Beersheba?
If it is a riddle, I don't know the answer.
Then tell me this. If you stood on the peak of Mount Hermon and looked south, what would you see?
That I can tell you. The River Jordan, emptying into the Dead Sea.
And beyond the Dead Sea?
The dry Negev without life.
If the waters of the Jordan flowed over the sands of the Negev, what then?
I would say it is a beautiful thought.
Shepherd, don't you ever dream?
Only when I sleep.
What do you dream most often?
Mostly of pastures, thick, green, and sheep, fat, happy.
Tonight, when you sleep, remember to dream of the River Jordan.
Bounded by the Mediterranean on the west, and on the east by the Jordan, swiftly moving in its deep gorge, Israel is a pinch of land, 2/3 desert surrounded by an abundance of water. And this is the origin of the dream, which is not the end, but the beginning. It moves from fantasy to realization.
The development of a Jordan Valley Authority is completely practical. Practical can mean many things. Oh, I'm an engineer, not a politician. From an engineering point of view, there are no technical barriers.
At their drawing boards, the engineers have finished the maps and blueprints and are ready. But there is an objection from the Arab desert east of Israel.
The Jordan does not belong to you.
Half of it is ours.
Will you take only the water from your half?
Tell me, is your Arab desert as dry as ours?
It blows like dust under my camel's feet.
Then we'll share the Jordan water. Half for your desert, half for ours.
But not yet, for the objection still stands, and the offer to share is not accepted. Therefore the Jordan runs fruitlessly into the Dead Sea. Wheels that might turn remain motionless, and sand that might be soil remains barren. Now, one can only wait, and look again at plans already perfect, and think of what is possible, but not permitted.
Control of the waters of the Jordan will irrigate 800,000 acres of the Negev.
The land will produce 2 crops a year.
The Jordan River dams and the Mediterranean Dead Sea Canal will create almost 1 billion kilowatt hours of electricity.
The snows will melt on Mount Hermon, and the life-giving waters of the Jordan will flow across the plain of Sharon to the sands of the Negev. From a spot near Haifa, canals will lead the salt water of the Mediterranean for 25 miles to the Dead Sea, to fall 1,300 feet and generate power and water for industry and irrigation, so that 6 million people may live where now a handful exist. But not yet. For this, it is not yet time.
To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heavens. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to break down, and a time to build up.
Therefore the time must come to replace the desolation of misused and forgotten land with the fertile abundance of orchards and vineyards. It will not be a miracle, or a dream, nor a vision in the mind, but a fact to be observed, so that a man like Nathan may say,
"Look, the desert is in flower."
As once he said,
"In the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And the parched land shall become a pool, and the thirsty ground springs of water. The wilderness and the parched land shall be glad, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing."
if it is a dream, it is a mighty dream. worthy of men.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. Louis Berry, Distinguished Civic Leader of Detroit. Mr. Berry.
Few are the dramatic events in history whose full impact is felt at the time they occur. Ours is a generation that is privileged to live at a moment when the history of our people reaches one of these great peaks. I refer, of course, to the reestablishment of Israel, which is not only the realization of a dream centuries old, but is also the promise of a new life through centuries yet unborn. This event has been called a modern miracle. You remember that in the presentation we have just been privileged to hear, Nathan prides himself on being a realist. He is challenged by one who says, "But still you believe in miracles?" His reply is noteworthy. If I didn't believe in miracles, how could I be a realist? Realism requires us to recognize that the miracle is far from completed. Tens of thousands of immigrants are still herded in camps in Israel, waiting to be absorbed into the normal life of the new state. Hundreds of thousands in Europe and the Muslim lands are waiting to be taken out of the valley of shadows into the sunlight of the people's own home. The state of Israel is not only faced by the inevitable difficulties which any young state in our time would have to endure, but it must also keep its doors open to the multitudes who wish to enter. These remnants of a people who have lived through the greatest tragedy in Jewish history must be enabled to share in its great fulfillment. They must be transported to Israel, clothed, sheltered, fed, often retrained and made to feel not only welcome, but indispensable to the great enterprise. The proudest privilege that has come to us as American Jews is to have a share in effecting the miracle. There can be and must be no relaxation of effort on our part at this moment. The care and the housing of the hundreds of thousands of Jewish needy is not solely the responsibility of the Jews in Israel. It is the responsibility of world Jewry. We would be sinning against the opportunity with which destiny provides us were we to withhold the full measure of our support.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Eternal Light drama today, A Time to Build Up, was written by Joseph Mindell. The music was arranged and conducted by Morris Momorsky. Cantor David Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured as Nathan was Leon Jenney, and Norman Rose was the narrator. The production was under the direction of Frank Papp. Free time to present the Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The eternal life. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Life, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, Miracle in the Making, was written by Morton Wishengrad.
Stop for a minute, Harry. The doctor will wait for you.
I'm all right, Alice. Come on. Let's get it over with.
A man named Harry Myers was coming to my office. One more case of rheumatoid arthritis. Muscles in spasm, bony fusion of the joints. Knees no longer able to flex. Fingers misshapen. Hands cold, clammy, without strength. Rheumatoid arthritis. There are millions like Harry Myers. They lie bedridden in their houses, in hospitals, helpless cripples who do not even have death to look forward to. Only a slow wasting of muscle, an erosion of bone, and pain. Before you are eligible to become a permanent invalid, it is necessary first to serve a long and aching apprenticeship. For trolley conductor Harry Myers, it began years ago.
End of the line, Harry. You won't have to ring up another fare on Monday. Hey, Harry, wake up.
Years ago, it seemed they were always telling trolley conductor Myers to wake up. They didn't know it, but that was a symptom. Fatigue.
Hey, snap out of it. We're in the car barn. Home. End of the line. Wake up.
What?
What do you mean, what? We're in.
Guess I'm tired.
What's wrong, Harry?
What do you mean, what's wrong? I'm tired, just like I told you.
You're never too tired for a fight. What's gotten into you?
That was the second symptom. Harry Myers was irritable. The tired symptom was more important. His foot hurt.
Why don't you buy yourself a pair of shoes that fit?
Just for a change, McLeod, why don't you try minding your own business?
Well, these last couple of weeks, there hasn't been a civil word out of
You can always ask the superintendent to assign another conductor.
Take that foot home, Harry, and soak it. Probably won't help your foot, but it might improve your disposition.
On the day that Harry Myers limped home, something began to happen 1,000 miles away in the Chicago laboratories of Armour & Company.
What's in the test tube?
ACTH?
Never heard of it.
Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Isolated by Dr. Cho Hao Lee at the University of California. It's a pituitary hormone which acts on the adrenal cortex, the outer rind. Let's play around with it.
Harry Myers had no way of knowing it, but there in the Chicago stockyards, the research chemists and biologists of Armour & Company would from that moment be playing with his life. All Harry Myers did know was that now both feet were hurting.
Here's your hot water. You should be seeing Doc Isaacs instead of taking up with old wives' remedies.
Just set the pail down and shut up.
I hope you scold yourself.
Alice, I don't know what gets into me. I'm sorry.
First you tear the skin off a person's back, then you say you're sorry. It's not that easy.
I'll crawl on my belly. I said I was sorry.
Alice, I'm in pain.
You're not the only one.
Don't yell. I don't like a woman to raise her voice to me.
Then make this house a house and not a living hell.
Alice, we never used to be like this. What's come over us?
Don't you know what's come over us? Sickness. You better see the doctor.
I never feel like eating anymore. I don't sleep, Doc.
It's quite apparent.
Doc, I used to be strong as a bull.
Rheumatoid arthritis attacks the strong.
I don't get it. Rheumatism is for old people. I'm 36.
You're the right age. The usual spreads from 25 to 50, with the peak between age 35 and age 40.
I've got 3 kids. I can't afford to be a cripple. You got to cure me.
There's no cure for rheumatoid arthritis.
Doc, what can I do?
Take aspirin.
That's a laugh.
Why? Because aspirin's so cheap? Be grateful for it.
Sure, Doc. It began with my feet and my knees. It's in my arms now, my fingers. Doc, how is it going to leave me? Tell me.
What was the point of telling him? He would know soon enough. Meanwhile, in the middle of the Chicago stockyards, events were beginning to converge slowly towards Harry Myers.
I want some hog pituitaries.
Last week it was beef pituitary. Wish you boys in research would make up your minds.
Well, we have a good hunch that hog pituitary will give us the most potent yield of ACTH.
Stop talking algebra. How many pituitaries do you want?
About 1,000.
Let me point out one little fact. It's expensive to get that tiny little thing out of a hog's skull. What are we, meat packers or what?
Thanks. Be a good fellow, will you, and see if they kept on dry ice?
In a Chicago stockyard, research scientists began to collect tens of millions of tiny glands, a colossal operation. They were running a race for all the Harry Myers of the world. But Harry himself was aware of nothing except his own misery.
Oh, boss.
How are you doing, McLeod?
Oh, not bad.
How do you feel, Harry?
Fine, just fine.
Getting sort of skinny, aren't you?
It's good to melt off a little fat.
You can overdo a good thing. I've been thinking, Harry, how would you like a job in the office?
Yes, sir.
Sure, the pay is less, but you'll be off your feet.
Boss, Harry and me have been on the same trolley for 9 years.
I know, McLeod, but 2-man trolleys are finished, and Harry can't work a trolley by himself. It's an office job or nothing.
Yes, sir.
While you're in the office, take a look at some stuff that's lying around in the closet. Might be a good idea for you to borrow some of it.
What kind of stuff?
Something to make it easier for you to get around. A couple of canes. 2 good, strong canes.
Alice, where'd you put my canes? I left them right here.
This house isn't so big that you have to shout like that.
Where are the canes?
I gave them back to McLeod.
You did what?
Dr. Isaacs doesn't want you to bend your knees. He says you've got to walk straight.
On whose leg?
Don't yell, Harry. McLeod made a swap with the superintendent.
What's the boss got to do with it? Alice, what are you doing in the hall?
It's lucky for us these things happen to be lying around the car barn. The superintendent says you can borrow them till we buy our own.
Get them out of here. Burn them.
Doc says you'll walk straight with them.
I don't want them. Get rid of them. I don't want them.
It's hard for me, too. Don't make it harder. Harry Myers, here are your crutches.
Tell me, on what day of his life does a man grow old? And at what moment of birth does death begin? Harry Myers came to me. His face was gray, his lips were the color of watered milk. He regarded me in silence. I answered with silence. Perhaps in a Chicago laboratory they could hear that silence.
Ed?
Yes?
What are we after?
A better method of extracting ACTH.
Suppose we find it. What do we have?
Lots of ACTH.
But what good will it do? Might be no good.
Maybe. The pituitary gland is the master gland of the body. It sends out messengers to the other glands. One of the messengers is ACTH. And ACTH says to the adrenal gland, "Hey, Joe, wake up. More production." You know, could be we might find ourselves with quite a little gadget.
Harry?
Oh,
You call Harry?
it's all right. Shh, don't wake the children.
Harry, you in your bed? Is that light? You never can find the light. Huh. Hey, you're shivering.
It's nothing, just cold, that's all.
Why didn't you pull the blanket up?
Couldn't.
Why couldn't you, Harry?
Something's happened to my fingers. They don't open. They don't close. They're useless.
Here, I'll tuck the blanket in. You get warm, you'll feel better. Harry, why didn't you call me?
I was trying to pull the blanket up with my teeth.
You could have called.
You need sleep. You've done too much already.
Thanks, Harry.
For what?
For thinking of me.
It's pain that changes a person. It takes strength to consider anyone but yourself. Alice, it's pain that makes a person selfish. I'm not going to be selfish anymore. I'm going to a hospital.
You belong in your own room.
It's done. Doc has made all the arrangements.
Harry Myers went to the hospital on a day when millions of Americans were also entering hospitals. The Brotherhood of the Sick. Rheumatoid arthritis, rheumatic fever, gout, dozens of diseases whose names you've never heard. What's the use of hearing about diseases for which there is no drug, no doctor, no hope?
Ed wants us to try this batch of ACTH on our rats.
Science never concedes that there is no hope. Slowly, painfully, ACTH was brought into significant production. And slowly, carefully, it was tested.
I can report, gentlemen, that ACTH is not toxic when injected into our laboratory animals.
But Harry Myers wasn't a laboratory animal. He was a human being in despair.
What are you doing out of bed? A person has to keep moving. If he doesn't, he stiffens. Then he becomes a real cripple. Everybody knows that.
Everybody except the medical profession. Into bed, Harry.
Well, I gotta keep moving.
Listen here. You've lost 38 pounds. You're anemic. You haven't got the strength to blow your nose. Back into bed.
I'm just an ignoramus, Doc.
In rheumatoid arthritis, rest comes first, then exercise under supervision. And decent nourishment and aspirin. Nurse,
Yes, doctor.
this patient stays in bed.
Yes, sir.
Make sure he stays in bed. We'll put a cast around his right knee
Very good, sir.
and a brace on the left knee.
Yes, doctor.
If that right hand doesn't show any better response to the paraffin treatment, I want you to put some sandbags on it. Straighten that hand out.
What's the good? Let's quit.
I don't quit, Harry. Neither do you. My job is to prevent deformity. Someday you're going to use those arms and legs.
Haven't they told you, Doc? There aren't any miracles anymore.
Harry, medicine is only beginning. There are doors that will be opened.
No miracles, Doc. I'm a cripple. There aren't miracles that change that.
Okay, Harry, so you don't like the radio the boys sent you. Make me sorry we bought it for you. The least you could do was give me a pleasant word. Look, these days I drive a bus. You don't know how lucky you are.
Just the mood I'm in, McLeod. Let's talk about something else.
You look a lot better.
I lost another 2 pounds.
Yeah, but you got color in your face.
My hemoglobin is down to 60.
What I mean to say is you look more rested.
I didn't sleep a wink last night.
Can't you admit something is better?
For a hospital, they serve pretty good food.
Thank goodness.
Only I got no appetite.
Harry Myers, give me one cheerful word.
I hear your cousin broke his nose again.
What medicine do they give you here anyhow?
Last month it was prostigmine. The month before it was gold injections.
This month they tried giving me typhoid fever and cobra venom.
Tell them to try smallpox and malaria.
I'm no good, McLeod. I'm a lousy yapper.
Harry, I don't mind you yapping in my face. Yap as much as you want, kid. Only when are they going to make you well again?
Not in the cards, McLeod. I got rheumatoid arthritis, and there's no salvation.
For how many diseases of mankind has there been no salvation? For how many millions of the dying and the soon-to-be dying and the sick of soul is there no redemption? I shall tell you something now. There is an area of darkness, the area of metabolic dysfunction, of endocrine imbalance. I do not dare to tell you how vast an area closed until now. Several months ago, to the research clinic of the hospital where Harry Myers is a patient, there came Armour & Company's Director of Medical Research, Dr. John R. Mote. Great work had been done by Dr. Philip Hench and his Mayo Clinic associates. And now Dr. Mote said,
"There is strong evidence to suggest that rheumatoid arthritis is linked somehow with malfunctioning of the adrenal cortex. We've offered ACTH for investigation to 45 hospitals and research groups. We offer a small quantity to you. Not for therapy, Doctor. There isn't enough for therapy. This ACTH, I must emphasize, is only for investigation and study."
The nurse said you wanted me not to go away.
What is it, Doc?
Harry, suppose I said there was a chance.
What kind of a chance?
A long shot.
All right.
Don't be hasty.
You mean I might die? The way I am, what's dying?
Listen to him, Harry.
This is a 25 milligram vial of ACTH. To make a pound of this stuff, you need the pituitary glands of nearly 500,000 animals.
It's a lot of animals.
Well, there isn't enough livestock in the entire world to make enough ACTH. Only chemical synthesis can do that. And synthesis is a long way off. So there's only a little bit of the material. Only enough for experiments. To teach us what it can do, what it can't do.
Nothing will work.
Nothing worked in diabetes until insulin.
There's a catch, isn't there?
Yes, Alice, there's a remote possibility that ACTH could stand Harry right out of that bed. Enable him to walk, to bend, to brush his teeth, to comb his hair again, to eat with appetite, to be free from pain, to be almost normal.
And the catch, Doc?
It could do all those things to you, Harry, and then I'd have to stop giving you injections, because there'd be no material left to inject. You'd be a cripple again.
Doc, your deck is full of jokers.
This is one of the ways medicine learns.
You're not asking him to risk death. You're asking him to risk life.
The risk is always life. It's how we learn.
Don't learn on Harry. There's no strength left in him. If this is why you called me, and if you want my answer, it's no. Please, go away and let him alone.
Iron is taken from the earth and tried by fire and rendered into steel. But human flesh is not earth, and human bone is not iron. And yet flesh must be tried in the fires of fever and delivered swollen and agonized into the crucible that will make it steel. Harry and Alice Myers, they are real people. And I tell you this story because they finally made a decision that required the courage that transcends pain. He was old beyond his years. He was trembling with weakness.
Doc, I'm not a good hero.
All right, Harry.
I'm not one of those noble characters. If it turns out good and then you take the good away, I'll curse you, Doc. I'll go nuts.
Well, then leave things as they are.
I can't.
Why can't you?
Maybe this stuff is the real McCoy. Doc, I'm curious. Okay, you can start scratching me with your needles. Let's see what happens.
Gentlemen, I propose a schedule of treatment consisting of 4 15-milligram treatments for the first 5 days be followed by a reduction of dosage in the following manner. On the 6th day... Easy with that needle, Doc. Everything hurts me, Doc. Even curiosity.
Feel any better?
No better, nurse.
Well, here's another injection. Harry, they called me.
I sat up by myself. I pulled up the covers by myself.
Harry.
I bent my knees by myself. Doc! Doc! Hey, Doc!
Harry, keep a grip on yourself.
No, I can walk.
Oh, Harry, don't lose your head.
I can walk. No pain. My knee, my elbow, look.
Please, Harry, try to remember what I told you.
I don't care what you told me. Nurse! Hey, nurse! When is my next shot? Now watch this, McLeod. Watch my knees when I walk down the steps.
Calm yourself, Harry. You're behaving like a kid. Take it easy.
Now watch me as I walk down. How do you like it?
What are they putting in your milk?
ACTH. Come around for an injection. It'll do you good. Now watch me. I'm going to run up.
You'll break a leg.
Watch me run, McLeod.
Squeeze me tight. Tighter than that. Harry, it mustn't end.
It's got to end, Alice. I'm sober today. It's good. It's wonderful. It's crazy. But it's got to end.
Don't let them. I want a husband, not a cripple. I need you. The kids need you. This way, not the other way.
I slept last night, Alice. 4 nights now. I slept. I can eat. I'm like other people. When I see someone with 2 good legs and 2 good arms and 10 straight fingers, I don't hate him anymore.
He's going to stop the injections.
That was the deal.
Then what was the good of the whole thing?
When the pain comes back, I'll remember what it was like to be without pain.
But you'll be a cripple again.
A cripple with hope, Alice. All right, so the stuff won't be ready tomorrow. But during my life, it will be ready.
We are running a race for all the Harry Myers of the world. For this is not just a new drug. This is a new era in medicine. A door that will be thrown open. A new searchlight that will be turned on the life process of the human organism. And no man alive can foretell what will be revealed. But the miracle is not yet here. It is only a miracle in the making. It requires something to understand that. And a man named Harry Myers has what is required.
Don't worry about Alice, Doc. She'll be okay.
Like to go home?
Well, that'd be swell.
I'll see to it.
Anything you want to tell me?
The main job is to prevent deformity. That means you'll have to submit to casts and to braces, to surgery.
Sure, Doc.
It means you'll earn the right to your own redemption.
Okay, Doc. I can do a lot of things now.
It is an irony of history. This is the era of the bomb, but this is also the era of a new endocrinology, the age of hormone therapy, ACTH, pregnenolone, Merck & Company's cortisone, testosterone, 100 new agents of salvation ready or on the way or in the making. In this year when science prepares the last cataclysm, science also prepares a new covenant with life. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day that I have set before thee life and death, the blessing and the curse. Which shall be chosen? And in the hospital where the child lies sick, and in the house of the invalid where hope has been yielded, and nothing is left except the cramp of despair, the question repeats itself. Which do we choose?
you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Dr. Abram Kanoff, member of the pediatric staff of Brooklyn Jewish Hospital. Dr. Kanoff.
There has always been a close affinity between religion and medicine, from the days when the tribal priest was also the medicine man until the present, when the word miracle is used as often in the laboratory as in the pulpit. The word miracle is used so often in relation to new treatments that we may forget that some of these drugs actually are miraculous. There is a difference, however, that I should like to stress between the biblical miracle and the miracle in the laboratory. When the prophet Elisha breathed life into the body of a young boy, he solved a single, urgent problem. The power of the Almighty was used to circumvent the natural law in order to solace a bereaved mother. In this way, the prophet demonstrated the strength and dominance of the Almighty. When God, however, wishes to demonstrate not omnipotence, but kindness and wisdom, he uses the man-made miracles of his henches and lees. These miracles follow natural law, and they are consummated slowly and with painstaking labor. The rewards of man-made miracles are correspondingly great. The prophet gladdened the heart of one mother. The man-made miracle of ACTH spreads life and hope in ever-widening circles around the world. Because of ACTH, millions of Harry Myers may someday walk again. Thousands of children afflicted with rheumatic fever may come through with normal heart muscles. Children with nephrosis, with Still's disease, with asthma may live again peacefully and without fear. What we need more of in this present-day world is more of such man-made miracles. What we hope for is that a touch of that sanctity which embraces the physician and occasionally makes him a miracle worker shall also touch some of the others, the economists, the diplomats, and the discoverers of atomic fission.
Thank you, Dr. Kanoff. Our Eternal Light drama today, Miracle in the Making, was written by Morton Wishengrad. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Katims. Cantor Putterman sang the liturgical introduction. Featured as the Doctor was Roger DeKoven, and as Harry Myers, Martin Wolfson. The production was under the direction of Frank Papp. Free time to present the Eternal Light is made available by the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you today from Chicago under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Our drama today, Old Man Stone, was written by David Davidson.
Stone, they called him. The many thousands of children who got to know him during a quarter century in the slums of Detroit. Louis Stone, corner druggist, amiable and chatty like all the brothers of his profession. but given especially to a charming habit of saying as each Halloween, Thanksgiving, or any holiday at all rolled around,
Come on, kids. Let's throw a party.
How about Johnny, Joe, and Freddie?
Sure, you can bring your three brothers, Mickey. Bring anybody you want.
sometimes his guests numbered up to 10,000, and he had to borrow money to pay. Brass bands and ice cream, clowns and candy. They were an obsession with him, the parties. Why did he do it?
Well, it makes the kids feel that people care about them. And a happy child, you know, is a good child.
As casual as that. But a few years ago, in an official resolution, the Michigan State Legislature declared,
Louis Stone has done more than any other person to combat and reduce juvenile delinquency in the city of Detroit.
But last January, in his little flat over his drugstore, Louis Stone died. Again, there was the gathering of his kids, again by the thousands. Meeting at Angel High School, they dedicated a plaque to him as Detroit Citizen of the Year. It was the first party of his kids that he had missed in 25 years, a quarter century of kindness. It was his answer to a certain great unkindness that had wounded him deeply during his own boyhood. It was back in his native Russia that it had happened to him, in his 16th year, applying one day to the judge of the local court for a copy of his birth certificate.
Yes? What is the year of your birth?
Why, 1894, Your Honor.
Occupation?
I'm a student.
Your father?
He owns a little shoemaking shop, Your Honor, but he works very hard.
Religion?
Jewish.
And for what purpose do you seek a copy of your birth certificate?
Well, Your Honor, I'm applying for admission to medical school, and they said my papers had to be accompanied by a birth certificate.
That is all.
Oh, please, sir. How soon can I have the certificate?
When it is ready.
Oh, please, sir. It's all I need to send in my application, and I want so much to be a doctor.
These things take time.
Next week? Next month?
Well, perhaps in 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years? But all you have to do is send a man to the files and have him copy
This
out.
court has before it more important matters than the birth certificate of... Young man, step aside.
Your Honor, please listen. As long as I can remember, I've wanted to study medicine. Now that I have the chance, please don't take it away.
Native. Yes, Your Honor. This person is disturbing the court. Have him removed.
Soon after, the heartsick boy was on his way to America, there to take the first work that offered itself in a New England can factory.
Stone, stop that machine for a second.
Am I doing something wrong, Mr. Feeney?
Wrong? Nobody in this factory ever did it so right, Stone. Always figuring out shortcuts, ways to save labor. Don't be surprised to find a little something more in your pay envelope this week.
Thank you, Mr. Feeney.
But I keep asking myself, now why should anybody with a head like yours want to keep on cutting out tin cans all his life? You ought to go to night school, Stone, get yourself an education.
Someday, when I've saved up the money.
Money? Why? High school's free in this country. Didn't you know that?
Free?
You get back to that machine now, Stone, and in 5 minutes, I'll find out just where you go and who you
Mr.
see.
Feeney,
Well, say, boy, why the snuffles?
You're so kind, Mr. Feeney.
That makes you cry?
Well, just like Columbus must have cried when he first saw America. To me, Mr. Feeney, kindness is a very new thing.
Your name, please?
Louis Stone.
It's rather late in the term, Louis, to be entering this class.
Excuse me for violating the rules. I want so much to get an education, but I only found out today.
No matter. You're welcome at any time.
Thank you, Miss
Martin. One moment before you take your seat. Pencils? Paper? We'll see later about your textbooks.
Oh, so stupid of me. I don't think I brought enough money, Miss Martin.
But they're free, Louis, provided by the city.
Miss Martin,
Yes?
isn't there anything I can give you?
Me?
This country, this people. Isn't there anything?
Well, just what I think you're giving already, Louis. Your love.
By 1917, having salvaged more of his dream than he had ever hoped, Louis Stone was working his way through pharmacy school, a diligent young man with thick-lensed glasses. But with America drawn into World War I, his mind turned at once from his studies.
All right, Stone. Now read that third line down on the chart.
A, and next to it, G, and then F?
Sorry, Stone. Your eyes are just not good enough for the Army.
And the Navy says the same.
So, why not go back to pharmacy school and forget the whole thing?
Forget it. A whole world war? When other people are giving their lives for this country?
Well, why don't you try the Merchant Marine, maybe? There, they don't have to be so particular about good eyes.
Merchant Marine. That's not fighting?
They do plenty to help, getting the troops and the supplies to Europe. And being chased by submarines isn't exactly a picnic.
Okay, then, Doctor. Merchant Marine.
A few years later, he was opening his own pharmacy on Mount Elliott Street in Detroit and receiving a very pessimistic caller.
Yes, officer? Anything I can do for you?
Moody's my name. Since this is my regular beat, I thought I'd drop in and say hello.
Welcome, Officer Moody.
I wish I could say the same to you.
Oh?
And what I'm meaning to say, why would a fella in his right mind ever want to open up a nice new store in a neighborhood like this?
Why not?
One of the roughest, toughest in all Detroit. Kids running in all the time to thieve. Knocking bricks at you the second your back's turned.
Personally, I thought the kids were very nice. Lively, but it's very nice.
Well, then how come they soaked up your brand new window so nobody can see into it for the life of him?
Halloween night. Why shouldn't they have their fun? Excuse me, officer. I was expecting an important call. Hello? So good to hear your voice. I was waiting all day, hoping you would finally make up your mind. Oh. Well, the best man won, I guess. I wish you two every happiness in the world. Good night.
Mr. Stone.
Yes, Officer Moody?
It sounds to me like somebody just got turned down.
She was such a nice girl.
Yeah, you're a big man, Mr. Stone, to say that about the girl who just jilted you.
But it's the truth. How can I deny it?
Well, better luck next time, Mr. Stone. And if ever you have any trouble with the young hoodlums in this neighborhood, I want you to... Glory be.
Sounds like somebody was run over.
Well, let's go see.
There, somebody's picking him up now.
Why, it's a young kid.
Poor little devil. All dressed up in an Indian suit. All dressed up for Halloween.
Hello? Hello, Sergeant. This is Officer Moody reporting. There was a 10-year-old kid run over just now by a car at Mount Elliott near Warren. Oh, he had a Halloween mask on. Slipped over his face while he was running in the street. No, it's too late for an ambulance. What's that, Sergeant? What a night for kids. Goodbye. You know what, Mr. Stone?
Yes, Officer Moody?
Sergeant says it was the third like that tonight, just in this part of town.
The third? 3 kids, each one leaving his house tonight for a little fun. And then...
Yeah, well, they won't stay off the streets.
Then somebody's got to keep them off the streets.
Oh, yeah. Somebody.
You, I, all of us. We've got to give those kids something better than the streets.
year later, as again the festival of the goblins came around.
Well, Mr. Stone, if you've got nothing more for me to do tonight, guess I'll knock off.
Well, now, Sam, a handyman works hard, and I know you're tired, but if you don't mind giving me a hand with these counters before you go.
Counters, Mr. Stone?
I want to push them all back against the wall.
Oh.
Let's start with this one.
All right. Well, I'm already on this end.
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
And now back. As far as it'll go.
All right. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Old man Stone.
Hello. Aren't you Johnny Fitch?
Why should I tell you? Go plant a tree, old man Stone.
Well, don't stand there in the doorway. Come in, Johnny. Make yourself at home.
Okay. Maybe I will.
It's a bad one, Mr. Stone. Look at the way he's edging over to that bowl of lollipops. Starting to sneak out his hand.
Okay, Mr. Stone, I got him.
Let go, you cop. Let go of me.
Caught in the act, trying to grab those lollipops, weren't you? And why shouldn't he, Sergeant Moody? Huh? They're there for the kids to help themselves. And those cookies, too. And those cups of ice cream.
Hey, what's he talking about?
Johnny, I'm giving a party tonight. A Halloween party for all the kids in the block.
Bringing those hoodlums in here, Mr. Stone? They'll wreck your store. They'll rob you blind.
Let's see if they will. Johnny, will you go out and tell every kid on the block to come here right away as my guest?
You mean that?
I don't want to ever see another one of you fall under a car. Go on, Johnny. Get them.
Okay. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Tommy, all you guys. Yeah, what? Old man Stone is giving away candy and ice cream. Old man Stone has gone crazy. What?
Mr. Stone, you don't know what you did tonight for the mothers on this block.
Forget it, Mrs. Fitch.
Bringing nearly 60 of our youngsters into your store and entertaining them for 2 hours and keeping them from harm.
Well, I'm glad of that, Mrs. Fitch.
But couldn't we chip in a little on what it cost you?
Oh, no. It's still a lot cheaper than what last Halloween cost.
Mr. Stone, I never would have believed it.
Believe what, Sergeant Moody?
Not one thing stolen, not one thing broken in your whole store.
Well, Sergeant, it just goes to prove an old belief of mine that a happy child is a good child.
Maybe you're right at that.
Let's give a real party. We rope off the whole block, if you can fix that.
Oh, sure.
We get a band from the Musicians Union, maybe. There's some singers from the radio stations, and... But why do we have to wait a whole year? Huh? I heard some of these kids say tonight they'd never seen a circus. And in just a couple of weeks, the circus is coming to town. But Mr. Stolen... Oh, when it does, Sergeant Moody, let's throw a party.
And so it went from then on, year after year, a party on every occasion that offered itself, and occasions invented when they didn't exist. Often he stripped his cash register of the last dollar to pay for them. Old Man Stone. When he moved his drugstore to the corner of 3rd and Stimson, the old custom went along with him. And in the course of the years...
Oh, good morning, Lieutenant Moody. Good morning, Lou. I have a piece of news that might interest you.
Oh?
Well, over at our station house, the Crime Prevention Bureau has been digging up the figures on juvenile delinquency for this part.
Oh?
The score is that ever since you started giving those parties, Lou, that the figures have gone down to the lowest on record for this neighborhood.
That's good to hear, Lieutenant.
You can pin all the medals for that on yourself, Lou. And like one of the social workers said, what a father you would have made.
Yes. Didn't turn out that way.
Oh, I know, Lou. I was here that day when the little lady gave you the bad news over the phone. Oh, you must have loved her a lot. Never to try again.
Forget it.
Well, this way, it turned out you're the father of 10,000 kids. In maybe just, maybe just 4 or 5.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it, Lieutenant. The only trouble, now that this country is in a war again,
yes,
I don't see that I got any right to ask exemption on the grounds of dependency.
Exemption? Now, Lou, whatever gives you the idea that a big, overweight man of 50 like yourself is supposed to go off and fight a war?
He can try, can't he?
Next, please. On the double.
Yes, sir.
I'm next. And what can we do for you?
This is where I sign up for the Merchant Marine, isn't it?
You?
Me.
Say, aren't you old man Stone?
That's right.
I must have gone to a dozen of your parties as a kid. Golly, when I think of all those good times.
Please get down to business. I want to join the Merchant Marine.
Well, Pop, even in the Merchant Marine, a fellow has to meet certain physical requirements. So, if you want to help win the war...
Yes, I do.
Well, just go home and keep buying bonds. Next...
1 second, young fellow.
Pop, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
You think you're rid of me just like that? Well, I warn you, young fellow. You're not. Oh, Mrs. Pickett.
Yes, Mr. Stone?
Put down that prescription for a second and listen to me.
Okay, Mr. Stone. What's the trouble?
Look, Mrs. Pickett, it's a couple of months already since I took you on here as my assistant.
Yes, just about, Mr. Stone.
Well, in that time, you've learned the ropes so well, I think maybe I can take off a little time to do something very important, Mrs. Pickett.
Oh? You thinking of going away somewhere?
To the hospital, Mrs. Pickett.
Hospital?
Well, there seems to be something wrong with me lately. I've lost so much weight the last few months.
Yes, you have, Mr. Stone. But you never look better.
You think so, Mrs. Pickett?
Mr. Stone, I never saw anybody look less sick than you do right now. What's up? On the level, Mr. Stone. What's cooking here?
All right. But promise me first you'll keep this a secret, that you won't tell anybody.
Come on, you realize. Yeah, but where is old man Stone, Mrs. Pickett? More than a month now since he's been around the store, Miss Pickett.
Well, children, he hasn't been feeling well.
Sick? Hey, let's go right upstairs and see him.
Well, as a matter of fact, he isn't there.
Went away to a hospital? Which one?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, come on, Mrs. Pickett. We'll bring him candy and flowers. Throw him a party for a change. Come on, tell us what hospital. We ain't moving out of here till you say. And yes, go ahead, Mrs. Pickett. We have a right to know.
What's the commotion, kids? What's going on here?
Well, old man Stone is in the hospital.
Oh, he's sick?
And Mrs. Pickett won't tell us which one. You're a cop, yet, Moody. Why don't you get on the phone and find out? And we can all go down together and see him.
All right. That's just what I'll do. You hear that, Mrs. Pickett?
Oh, please, he didn't want anybody to know.
Well, just the same, I'll count 3. And if you don't tell us by the time I'm finished, Mrs. Pickett, 1, 2...
All right, I confess.
Let's have it now, Mrs. Pickett.
A month ago, he got the Merchant Marine to take him as a purser pharmacist. Yes, after he dropped 70 pounds. But they only took him on probation. And he was so afraid they'd send him back and he'd be embarrassed. So he didn't want anybody to know.
That's him, all right.
That old man Stone.
But the Merchant Marine kept him all right for a full 19 months. And after the war, he was back again at 3rd and Stimson, there to receive a rather mysterious visit one day from 2 of his young friends.
Mr. Stone, will you listen, please? This is very important.
1 second, Timmy. Mickey, just as soon as I finish this prescription. There. All right, gentlemen. What's on your mind?
Well, Mr. Stone, a whole bunch of us was talking one day, and I says it's got to be. He wouldn't be the only one in the world that got left out. And I says, but every time we ask Mr. Stone, he tells us he never had one. Or else he says, so long ago, I can't remember.
What are you 2 talking about?
So then we decide that maybe we'll go ask Captain Moody. After all, he's a cop. He's got ways of finding out things. So he makes a hunt, all right, in the office where they give out licenses to druggists in this state.
Jimmy. Mickey.
No use, Mr. Stone. We nailed you. And now we know what day is your birthday. Today, Mr. Stone.
You little devil.
Open the door, Mr. Stone. Go on over there and open it. Have a look outside.
I don't know if I'm going to like this.
Go on, open it.
Such a crowd of people out there. Big ones, little ones.
even a brass band. But I never had a birthday party in my life.
Well, it's about time, ain't it? That somebody threw you a party for a change?
There followed honors for Louis Stone from the Detroit Common Council, the state legislature, various professional societies. Men high in public life wrote to thank him for the happy start he had given them. But then, one night last January, his handyman dialed frantically at the phone.
Hello? Hello, police department? I want an ambulance right away. Old man Stone just had a heart attack.
Captain Moody, come in here in the middle of the night. Now, you take it easy, Lou. You know, the doctor wants you to rest. What did he say about me? Oh, he says you'll be all right. I don't think so. Now, Lou. No strength left in my bones. What worries me most, I know how awful a kid feels to be disappointed. Yes, it happened once to me when I tried to be a doctor. I never forgot it. Well, now, that was a long, long time ago, Lou. What's bothering me is what'll happen next month. Next month? I said I'd take a lot of kids to the circus. 3,000 of them. Oh, I see. Well, promise me something. That if I'm not around, somebody will take the kids. Please, promise me they won't be disappointed. They won't be, Lou.
It was the last wish of Louis Stone, and it was carried out. It is told in the Talmud that a rabbi once asked to be enlightened as to what manner of man was sure to enter into the life of the world to come. The prophet Elijah pointed two such men out to him. The rabbi asked these men by what noble deeds they had earned such distinction. They replied, "We are merrymakers. When we see people troubled in mind, we relieve their distress by cheer. And when we see people quarreling, we make peace between them."
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address and 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Leon Silvertrust, Chicago attorney and former president of the Chicago Council of the United Synagogue of America.
The central character in today's drama, Louis Stone, lived and died a bachelor. Yet, he was a godparent of a generation of Detroit's children. It is written in the Talmud, "He who teaches a child is considered as if he were its father." It is in this tradition that Stone can be considered the father of the countless youngsters who were lifted up by his spirit and molded by his saintliness. Louis Stone lived a life of infinite faith, faith in the essential goodness of all human beings. He did not deny the evil which existed around him, but acted rather on the principle that good will drive out evil. He did not allow himself to be deflected from the principle of action by the superficially negative aspect of society. Louis Stone succeeded as a human being because he was what he believed all men must be. Only those who lead a life of goodness understand the potency of good as an active weapon against evil. So Stone changed the character of the youth of his community because he approached them as people worthy of the respect and trust and not as potential criminals. Though many of them were considered hoodlums by organized society, they were not forced into this mold by Stone. He did not content himself with being a critic of the delinquency about him, but helped provide the opportunities to channel youthful energies and other creative drives into socially acceptable patterns. Just as Stone participated in spiritual creation, so we may all play an equally significant role in the formation of a better world. We will be effective to the degree that we recognize the potential goodness inherent in man and find our proper place in the construction of a cooperative society. Ours is the choice of being either the policeman, accepting as a norm the aberrations of society, or the friend, approaching the world with a confidence in the individual's power to unshackle potential outcasts of society. Only as we practice our faith in mankind can we strengthen ourselves, and with this increase in personal fortitude, act as the builders of a fitting sanctuary for the spirit of man.
Thank you, Mr. Silvertrust. Our Eternal Light drama today, Old Man Stone, was written by David Davidson and is presented as part of the National Observance of Brotherhood Week. Jack Lester was featured as Louis Stone, the man.
Music was by Laurie Scott Baker. Cordova is directed.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generations. The Eternal Light.
The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations make free time available to present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today, in celebration of the festival of Purim, we present a song for Queen Esther by Morton Wishengrad.
Oh, Purim's coming, children, the feast of fun and joy. So let us join in singing, every girl and boy. Sing Esther the queen, sing Esther the fair, sing loudly her virtue, her charm. How Mordecai toiled, how Haman was foiled, how Israel was shielded from harm. Oh, Purim's coming, children, the festival of fun. So lift your voices gladly, come join in everyone.
Now it came to pass, in the days when Ahasuerus was king, that he ordered his 7 chamberlains to prepare a great feast in the city of Shushan.
Prepare couches of gold and silver.
Prepare couches of gold and silver.
Dust off our 1,600,000 golden goblets.
Royalty is coming.
Invite all my relatives.
Double the amount of food.
Yes, of course. All kinds of food. Ransack my 127 provinces. For ducks, hens, capons, pheasants, geese, quail, and pigeons.
Poultry, beware!
Oh, but it's going to be a party no one will soon forget. Capons, ducklings, cook them well. Geese and quail and pheasants, cook them in a giant pot, stirred by 80 peasants. Pullets, chickens, fricassee, boiled and broiled and roasted. Cook them in a lovely sauce till they're golden toasted. Quick, be quick, my chamberlains, pies, pastry, brandy. Give each child throughout the land paper bags of candy.
When King Ahasuerus had finished his little song, he beamed at his 7 chamberlains, gave them a large wink, and with a look full of meaning, he said,
Tell Queen Vashti I shall want her to put on a royal crown and come before my guests to show her beauty.
But Vashti refused to show herself in front of the king's guests, and King Ahasuerus became furious.
I am the king. Me, I am. The king Ahasuerus. Chamberlain, how dare she refuse my command?
Inexcusable behavior, Your Majesty.
The presumption of the woman, the insolence of the woman, the audacity of the woman.
You shouldn't stand for it, Your Majesty.
I won't stand for it.
You must defend the honor of the royal name.
I will. Why, if the queen refuses to obey the king...
Ordinary women will step all over their husbands.
Exactly.
Majesty.
Yes, Chamberlain.
Much as I regret to say so.
Go on.
I must counsel that the time has come to choose a new queen.
Not a bad thought. Excellently counseled. Chamberlain, whom have you in mind?
Someone beautiful.
Good.
And someone dutiful.
Better.
Someone wise and modest and charming.
What's her name?
I don't know.
Oh.
But we'll find her, Your Majesty.
Impossible. She doesn't exist.
But she does exist. She must exist. And since she exists, we will find her.
How?
We'll hold a contest. A contest for the maiden who will be queen to King Ahasuerus.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. A beautiful idea. A most ingenious idea. An idea of sagacity and imagination. And virtue.
Thank you, sire. I shall order your soldiers to go throughout the land. They will be authorized to gather together every eligible maiden.
Excellent. Hurry. Let's have the royal contest.
In Shushan town there lived the girl, Hadassah was her name, till it was changed by Mordecai, and Esther it became. Till it was changed by Mordecai, and Esther it became. Now Esther was an orphan girl, of virtue, grace, and beauty, who lived with Uncle Mordecai, to protect her was his duty, who lived with Uncle Mordecai, to protect her was his duty.
Esther, my dear, it's impossible to hide here any longer.
But the soldiers are in the street.
Then you must go to meet them. They must not find you hiding.
Uncle Mordecai, what will become of me?
We have the promise of the king that no one will be molested.
But I am afraid.
Have faith, my dear. He who led Abraham forth out of Ur of the Chaldees will also watch over you.
I want to stay here with you. I want to be with my people. I have no wish to be in any contest. I have no wish to be queen.
It is out of our hands now, Esther. Be brave.
In the name of Ahasuerus, ruler over Persia, I demand entrance into this house.
Uncle Mordecai, don't leave me.
In the name of the
the 7 chamberlains of King Ahasuerus, let me in.
Promise me, Uncle Mordecai, you will stay close by.
I promise. Esther, you must promise me something.
What, Uncle?
Whatever happens, do not reveal that you're an Israelite. If you did and the king should become displeased with you for any reason, then your people would suffer.
I promise.
Are you the maiden, Esther?
I am.
Hold your face to the light. In the name of the 63rd Regiment of His Majesty's Royal Legions, I declare you most eligible. Please come at once to the Royal Palace.
Mordecai wept to see Esther go. He followed behind as he had promised. Then the palace gates closed after her.
Dear Esther, sweet Esther, they've taken her to test her, to see if her beauty is pleasing to the king.
It was not an easy contest. There were thousands and thousands of eligible maidens, and the king and his first chamberlain would not leave the judging to other eyes. Day followed day, week followed week, but neither the king nor his royal chamberlain was satisfied.
This one isn't beautiful enough.
This one isn't modest enough.
This one's simple.
This one squints.
This one giggles.
This one gushes.
This one is silly.
This one is stupid.
And this one has no manners.
This one has too many hairs.
And this one is too short.
This one is too tall.
And this one is... This one is...
I think so, too, Your Majesty.
My dear young lady.
Do you address me, sire?
I do. What is your name?
Esther, Your Majesty.
Chamberlain. Most agreeable voice.
And a most agreeable manner.
Queen Esther. I like that.
The two words do go together, don't they?
They do, don't they? I like the sound of it very much indeed. Chamberlain, I've made up my mind. The contest is over. Esther will be my new queen.
Queen Esther, there is no one to best her, for her grace and virtue are pleasing to the king.
My dear, I find you beautiful. I hope you will be dutiful. Oh, Lord, you have been bountiful, and Esther is my queen.
And this is the manner by which Esther the orphan became queen to King Ahasuerus in the month of Tebet, in the 7th year of the king's reign. And the king loved her exceedingly.
My dear, what is your opinion of the color scheme of the furniture? Do you prefer blue and silver with the onyx chairs, or do you think gold would be more delicate? Speak up, my dear. I value your opinion.
The king had never been more happy in his life, and Mordecai, to whom all these tidings were brought, rejoiced greatly. True to his word, Mordecai sat from noon to night before the gates of the palace in order to see that no harm should come to Esther. And this is how it was, that one day, while Mordecai sat reading from a large book, he chanced to overhear two of the king's ministers speaking in a strange language.
The Inca is an Abse.
Nectar.
He is an Ulfe.
Nidanote.
Teresh Alpe is an Leute Ime. I'm a Ierte Ave Ingbe Orpe. I'm a Ierte Ave Ingbe Ushpe Arounde. Iriad Pay. I'll hey about Uye Idke.
Nectar.
Now, Mordecai knew all the 70 languages of man, and so to his learned ears the words made sense, as follows.
Teresh, my good friend, is one minister to another. Let me say candidly that our good king Ahasuerus is,
Here's what?
He's a fool.
I grant you that.
He doesn't deserve to be king.
I grant that also. But who does?
Me.
What have you in mind?
A dagger?
That would do it nicely. But it's a risky business.
After we take care of Ahasuerus, you proclaim me king, and I proclaim you king's treasurer.
The idea has possibilities. I might go so far as to say that it has large possibilities. Now, quite by accident,
I own a dagger. A dagger of daggers. This dagger, my dear colleague, is
the Chamberlain and revealed the plot against the king. Oh, bless you, Mordecai, bless you 1,000 times. For the wicked ministers have already been seized, and no harm will befall the king.
Esther, my dear.
Yes, Uncle.
I believe you've grown fond of Ahasuerus.
I believe I have. He's a little foolish sometimes, but for a king, he's quite lovable.
I'm doubly glad now that I was able to save his life. Have no fear. Rest easy in your mind, dear Esther. From now on, there isn't anything that can happen.
But Mordecai was wrong. In place of the traitorous ministers, King Ahasuerus made a single appointment.
Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite.
Your Majesty.
Know all men that from this day I appoint Haman to be my first minister.
I am Haman, the first minister of the realm. Bow down and prostrate yourselves before me.
Now Haman was an evil man, the foulest villain in the land is Haman. Foul Haman, the blackest soul of all. But dear children, calm your fears, sigh no sighs and shed no tears, for Haman, foul Haman, did infamously fall. On with our story, Haman is approaching the place where Mordecai sits at the palace door. Bow down, shouts Haman, bow you down before me, for my name is Haman, and I alone am Lord.
I said bow down, I am your Lord.
You are wrong, sir. There is only one Lord to whom I may bow down, the Lord our God.
Bow down to me and kiss my foot.
I cannot, I shall not.
I am the minister of the king.
And I am a servant of God.
You said enough, your name.
What do you wish with me?
Your name.
People call me Mordecai. Mordecai the Israelite.
Mordecai the Israelite. That's all I want to know. Soldiers, sound your trumpets. Haman returns to the palace.
Haman, you come at a most inopportune time. My chamberlain is showing me my garments for the new season.
It can wait, Your Majesty.
Somehow, everything that pleases me must wait, while everything that vexes is pushed before my nose. What is it, Haman?
Sire, I have been examining the royal treasury.
Money. Don't talk to me about money. Talk to my chamberlain. He handles such things.
Majesty, I must speak to you. Your treasury is very low.
Oh, very well. The chamberlain, see that our next banquet lasts only 3 weeks.
Your Majesty.
Speak, Haman, what is it?
No need to economize. There are Israelites in your kingdom.
Yes?
We shall tax them.
But
we shall tax with a special tax. A tax of 100% upon everything they possess.
That means you will confiscate
everything they possess, and I assure you they won't complain.
Really, Haman?
I'll take the small precaution of seeing that they're all dead.
Oh, dear me. Rather drastic, don't you think?
A necessary step, King Ahasuerus. These people plot against your life. They cause unrest in your kingdom. They foment rebellion. They have contempt for your gods and your idols. Your Majesty, we cannot abide differences in our kingdom. Those who are not absolutely like everyone else must be eliminated.
Chamberlain, what do you think?
I do not like it, sire.
Haman, surely there must be some other way.
No other way. Your Majesty has given me his confidence. Believe me now, I act for the good of the kingdom. Every Israelite must be destroyed.
Esther, you're exaggerating the seriousness of the news.
I wish it were so, Mordecai, but it was told me by my ladies in waiting.
It is only court gossip, a wild rumor. Such things cannot happen.
Uncle, it was the king's loyal chamberlain who gave the news to my ladies.
Haman. Haman is the one.
Yes. Oh, Ahasuerus, my husband, my king, how can you allow yourself to be so deceived?
Esther, go to him.
To Ahasuerus?
Yes, you must.
No one may go to the king unless the king calls. It is the law of the palace, Mordecai. Whosoever goes before the king without having first been summoned, that person may be summarily put to death. Even the queen.
You must chance it then.
I may be killed.
If you do not go, your people will be killed.
I have no alternative then. I shall fast. Mordecai, go among the Israelites. Tell them this day shall be the fast of Esther. Beseech them to pray for me, even as I pray for them.
fasted all that day, and in the small houses of Shushan, thousands prayed for her. Finally, while the entire court held its breath, Queen Esther boldly approached the throne of the king.
Who is it that comes before the king without being summoned?
It is Esther, your queen.
Oh, well, that's something else again. Madam, your life is much too valuable to risk this way.
I had to come, sire.
But suppose I had a touch of indigestion and were in a bad mood? Oh, my dear Esther, dreadful things could happen, unthinkable things. Now, why have you come, my dear?
I have prepared a banquet, your majesty.
Oh, capital. Am I invited?
It would be no banquet without you.
What a pretty speech. When is it to be?
Tomorrow evening.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Who else is coming? Anyone I know?
If my Lord Haman would honor us with his presence, I would be most happy.
Haman, do you hear that? Lucky for you, I'm not a jealous man. Invited by the Queen herself.
I am deeply flattered, my gracious Queen.
Then you will come, Haman?
Nothing could prevent it, Queen Esther. I am ecstatic with joy.
Haman gloated because the queen had honored him. But when he saw Mordecai outside the palace gate, his exultation became an evil thing.
What good are the favors of the queen to me so long as this man whom I hate remains alive? I shall take counsel with Zeresh, my wife.
And Zeresh, who was as evil as Haman, gave him her wicked counsel.
You are absolutely right, Zeresh. I shall build a gallows 50 cubits high, and Mordecai will hang from it.
Chamberlain, tell them to stop that infernal racket. Such a man can't sleep. Chamberlain, make them stop.
Trumpeters, have done, have done. Thank you very much. Now, go back to sleep, Your Majesty.
Now what in the name of murder is that?
Haman has given an order to build a gallows 50 cubits high.
Well, tell him to wait till morning. Why does everything happen to me?
Stop their clamoring! Go home, all of you. Come back in the morning. Much better, Your Majesty.
Oh, my head. I'm afraid tonight is ruined. I simply won't be able to sleep after this.
Drink a little wine.
No.
Perhaps a little walk.
No. Chamberlain, read to me.
Very well, sire. I shall read from our daily chronicles. I read date of 6 months past. The plot to assassinate the king, foiled by the Israelite Mordecai. On the morning of the 6th day, the Israelite Mordecai overheard...
Chamberlain, wait. It comes back to me clearly. This man, Mordecai, he saved my life.
Oh, he did, sire.
How did we reward him?
Let me see. There is no mention of any reward.
Ridiculous. Read further.
Oh, I am afraid, sire, we completely forgot a reward for this loyal subject.
Well, no wonder I couldn't sleep. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. How could we be so ungrateful? I'll speak to Haman about it at Queen Esther's banquet. No, I shan't wait. I'll do something about it now. Chamberlain, strike the gong. Haman, there's something I meant to speak to you about, but this is Esther's banquet, and so no business. My dear Esther, will you sing for us?
I'm not in the mood, Your Majesty.
Oh, nonsense. Do something. Something pretty, something gay. You know what I like.
Your Majesty, truly, I have no disposition to sing at this moment.
Oh, I'm a very disappointed king. My chamberlain is disappointed.
I am, dear Queen.
Very well. I sing, my king, I sing, but my heart is cold and sad. Yet since you command, I shall pretend my heart is gay and glad. La 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 la.
Esther. Oh, Esther, my dear, I thought this was to be a happy occasion.
Forgive me, but I'm filled with sadness.
But why? For what reason, my dear?
Because orders have been issued to put the people of Israel to death.
Well, those were my orders, Queen Esther. Why trouble your head over affairs of state?
Haman's right.
Haman is the most wicked man who ever lived.
My dear Queen, I'm at a loss.
The Israelites never harmed you. They ask only for peace. Why won't you let them live?
Esther, there are tears in your eyes.
Are there elsewhere?
My dear, what are the Israelites to you?
Your Majesty, they are my people. I am an Israelite.
You, Esther?
An Israelite orphan who was reared by her good uncle Mordecai.
Well, we shall have this order against your people. Did I hear you say Mordecai?
You did, sire.
Majesty, this Mordecai...
He is our loyal subject.
Oh, no, King, I swear as he is a traitor.
How can you speak so of a good man?
I can prove he is a traitor.
Hold your tongue, Haman. Accursed liar. Mordecai is the man who saved the king's life. I would have him honored, not slandered.
My king, Haman would have Mordecai hanged.
Never.
Haman has built a gallows 50 cubits high to hang Mordecai.
So, if Haman has built a gallows, Haman will hang from it. Good Mordecai, my faithful subject, put on purple robes and garments of silk, and let this time be a time of rejoicing for you and for all the people of Esther the Queen.
Oh, Purim's here, dear children, a festival of thanks. So sing and dance with gladness and play your merry pranks.
Sing Mordecai good, sing evil whisper, sing wicked Haman's disgrace.
Sing Esther the Queen, sing Esther supreme, sing proudly her beauty, her grace. Oh, Purim's here, dear children, clap every hand in glee, and always love this story, which ends so happily.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York, 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. Charles Silver, President of the Beth Israel Hospital of New York, member of the Board of Overseers of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, and Vice President of the Alfred E. Smith Foundation. Mr. Silver.
You have just listened in dramatic form to one of the most stirring episodes in the history of the Jewish people. We have heard of how the king, through the connivance of Haman, issued orders to destroy the Jewish people. You heard how they were saved through the intervention of Queen Esther. And the Jews through the centuries have celebrated this critical period in the history of our people by observing the festival of Purim. In a broad sense, this story has a special significance not only for the Jewish people, but for all those who believe in the dignity of human beings. Millions of our people behind the Iron Curtain stand in dread of the heavy hand of the tyrant
who is prepared to carry out wholesale purges, and who has sought to rekindle the spirit of anti-Semitism which we had hoped was on the wane. There are many Harmons today who have combined to build up a structure of lies and insinuations against our people, which at this time appears to follow the brutal philosophy of the Nazis, which we hoped had been destroyed forever. I cannot believe that the civilized world would permit a reoccurrence of the teachings of hate and malice. In this country where we recently celebrated Brotherhood Week, where the people of all faiths have held hands in a spirit of friendship and cooperation, we may look for a stern answer to the Harmons in the sphere of communism. Let us be grateful that we live in a country where we may walk without the fear of being halted and accused of things that we have never done, that we may worship in accordance with our conscience, and that we may speak our minds with freedom. And so in the spirit of Purim, when we rejoice over the rescue of our ancestors, let me extend the warm hand of a comradeship to the people of every faith and say to them that we as American Jews who follow the precepts of our ancient teachers and sages shall stand shoulder to shoulder with Americans of every faith in this struggle to maintain our way of life. We shall always regard it as a high privilege to serve our country in whatever capacity we are best qualified to fill. We shall always seek to live up to our heritage as Americans and Jews and join in the crusade for the ultimate establishment of a free world.
Thank you, Mr. Silver. Our Eternal Light drama today, A Song for Queen Esther by Morton Wishengrad, was presented in celebration of the Festival of Purim. The orchestral music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Catums. Tom Glazer was the singing narrator. Featured in the cast were Daniel Ocko as King Ahasuerus and Terry Keane as Queen Esther. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel, that they bring unto thee pure oil olive beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of your congregation, and it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you from Hollywood, transcribed under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, starring Lou Ayres as Theodore Herzl, is written by Milton Geiger and entitled Different Drums.
Vienna danced. Toward the close of the 19th century, Fritzi and Mitzi, oblivious to change and to the imminence of the thundering 20th century, danced with Billy and Ludwig and were gay to Strauss. Never mind the dirge beyond the dance or the skull behind the face. They danced. And gay as the gayest among European society was a young journalist, lawyer, playwright. Serious, yes, but gay, too. Humane, yes, but young, too. Theodore Herzl, the blade, the bon vivant, the urbane, assimilated Jew. Welcome in all society because he was brilliant and striking and so gay. There existed no Jewish problem for this young Jew, no. But in Paris, the dance of Europe thundered to a stop. Theodore Herzl, Paris correspondent of the Neue Freie Presse.
On this dismal winter's day of January 1895, I have witnessed on the grounds of the École Militaire the degradation of Captain Alfred Dreyfus, the shame of Europe. I saw Captain Dreyfus, condemned for treason, lift his hand and say, "I declare and solemnly swear that you are degrading an innocent man. Vive la France." What did the crowd reply? "Bas les Juifs." The crowd did not try him for treason, but for being Jewish. I say that a Jew who is an officer of honorable career cannot commit treason. His people, so long condemned to a state of civic dishonor, have developed a consuming hunger and a love for honor. That Captain Dreyfus should have committed this crime is a psychological impossibility. But why do I say his people, when they are my people, too?
Time and conscience and Emile Zola will prove the innocence of Alfred Dreyfus. The drum of the École Militaire has wakened Theodor Herzl to the Jew, to his own people, and their ancient need. And the stark percussion of the unjust drum becomes the beat of one man's knuckles on the doors of the princes and the powerful across Europe, across a dedicated lifetime now. The door is that of Baron de Hirsch, philanthropist and founder of an early Jewish colony in Argentina.
But can't you see, sir, the solution of the Jewish problem by absorption in the rest of the population would take an impossibly long time.
My Argentine plan took full notice of that point.
That a Jewish colony of some sort is the answer. But the candidates for emigration must be filled with the joy of work, penetrated by a high virtue.
We mustn't aim too high, Dr. Herzl.
I don't understand that.
We have too many intellectuals. We make too much progress. My aim in colonization is to discourage this, call it the pushfulness of our people.
What? Offer them asylum only if they'll deny their gifts of mind and of spirit? I tell you, they must not be made the victims of the old philanthropies that breed beggars and not free people.
Oh, come, Herzl. Next you will wave a flag for them.
I have thought of a flag, sir.
Absurd.
It is with a flag that people are led, yes, even to the promised land. Believe me, sir, it is by such imponderables floating in the air that people can be inspired to greatness.
And I said again, absurd.
Then, sir, I must knock on other doors.
All this calls for money.
I propose to create a national loan of 10 million marks.
My dear Dr. Herzl.
I am sorry that we disagree.
Only in method, Dr. Herzl, not in purpose. Let us talk more about this, but another time.
Oh, and what next? Theodor Herzl writes a long appeal to the powerful Rothschild family. The address to the Rothschilds, which they will never read. Instead, the address evolves into the deathless Judenstaat, the Jewish state, guide and early codebook of the Jewish surge for a homeland. In an atmosphere of resistance to the Herzl idea, the Judenstaat explodes like a meteor in the abrasive atmosphere of Europe.
The entire concept of a Jewish state is a tasteless jest and hallucination.
This Theodor Herzl is a Jewish Jules Verne, a crackpot and an adventurer.
Herzl is dedicated and unhappily incorrect. Assimilation or slow colonization. That is the answer to the Jewish problem, not a Jewish state.
While others, like the great Max Nordau, critic of critics, said, a great act, a revelation. And others cried, a prophet again, bearded like Moses and thewed like young David. A prophet. While Theodor Herzl himself, shaken by the controversy, by the attrition of long work, of sustained emotion, writes in 1897,
My doctor says my heart is badly affected. I suppose it is proper to prepare for the end. There is so much to do.
The end is 7 years away, and Zion is still a dream, a smoke, a fantasy, speechless among the nations. If it could have a voice, if there is time, if there is help, if such leaders as Bambusch and Hildesheimer in Berlin would help, if the heart holds firm, hurry, Herzl, haste.
Wait, Herr Bombas. Hear me out.
Go ahead, Dr. Herzl. But I have my own notions, too.
With the help of such men as yourself and Hugh Hildesheimer, we can give Zion a voice.
I have told you about the offer for a newspaper. 300,000 gulden have been pledged, if the remaining 700,000 can be raised elsewhere.
It's a good proposal, and we will not be ungrateful for it. But it must conflict with or eliminate my World Congress of Zionists to be held in Munich.
Just a moment, Dr.
Hear me out.
I have plainly stated...
We need a forum where representatives of the Jewish people shall appear and to which they shall be responsible. A place where we can stand before the world and articulate our needs and our worth.
No.
But why not?
The word Zionist must not appear in our deliberations or instruments.
Well, then what, I beg of you?
Call it a conference of pro-Palestine societies, which will consider the practical present, not Zionist dreams of the phantasmal future.
If you will it, it is no dream.
I tell you, Herzl, I will not have you frighten away non-Zionist philanthropists who are now helping Palestine.
And I say that the Jewish question must be taken away from the control of the benevolent individual.
Then may I say, and I know I speak for Herr Hildesheimer as well, I will have nothing to do with the Congress, for which I anticipated nothing more than a general discussion of the immediate problems confronting the Palestine funds.
Do I understand you to say you withdraw?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, Herr Bombas. With you or without you, the Congress will take place.
Good day, Dr. Herzl.
But, Rabbi, what you tell me seems much more than the friendly opinion of a powerful segment of the Jewish people. It is a denunciation of me and a warning to me.
If you like, Dr. Herzl, your concept of the Jewish mission is not acceptable to me.
The Jewish mission? For years I have been listening to people who speak of Israel's mission whenever I try to talk to them about the wretchedness of the Jewish poor and the Jew in flight. These missionaries are all excellently situated.
It is the duty of every Jew to belong without reservation to the fatherland in which he lives.
And in which he may be forced to die or live in shame.
Religion and love of the fatherland, no less than our regard for the welfare of Judaism, impels us to repudiate the aims of Zionism and to ignore the call to your Congress.
Who precisely is us?
I speak as executive of the Federation of Rabbis.
The Federation of some rabbis. Happily, not all.
The whole Jewish community of Munich holds our view. We shall protest strongly your holding the Congress in this city.
Then it shall be another city. The Congress will take place.
Here is a new and elementary rhythm. Not the rhythm of the heart, or the cadence of a dornock, or the tempo of a drum. It is a gavel. August 29, 1897.
Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who hast kept us alive and brought us to witness this day.
The day is the first day of the first Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. And for the faltering Herzl, the end is 6 years away.
My dear good friends assembled here.
Ben-Ami, the Hovet Zion and Hebrew writer, was there. Before us rose a figure marvelous and exalted, kingly in bearing and in stature. It is not the elegant Dr. Herzl of Vienna. It is a royal scion of the House of David, clothed in legend and grandeur and beauty. And then the wildest applause broke out. It was indeed as if the son of David confronted us, and I was seized by the overpowering desire to cry out for all to hear, Yehi HaMelech, hail the king! In 1897, there are 197 delegates. 1 year later, there are 400 delegates. Not that there are not many nays among the yeas, but they are there in Basel. Outside occurs a phenomenon rare to Jewish experience. Outside, the Swiss parade for a national festival. As they pass the Congress Hall, they dip their flags and cry out, "Och, die Juden!"
These strangers who were our hosts shouted this respect for us. How different from only 2 years before when the crowd cried at Bas les Juifs. 2 years from down with us to up with us. And why? They respected us because we respected ourselves. And I wept. I wept.
And the end is 5 years off. Haste, Herzl. The cadence of the heart hesitates. Hurry with that other cadence. Knuckles on the door of Reich Chancellor Hohenmuller. Cool, hostile, yet impressed by Herzl.
You do not seriously represent that your Jews will throw over everything they have won, in Germany, for example, to follow you to some strange new homeland?
Your Highness, I think some Jews will follow me.
Just what territory do you have in mind?
Well, it is hard to say now. The more immigrants, the more need for land. The land will naturally be purchased from its present owners. A fund exists for that purpose already.
Who, generally speaking, are the present owners?
Arabs, Greeks, the mixed multitude of the Orient.
You want a state there?
We want self-government, self-defense, self-respect.
Turkey has an interest in those lands, generally speaking.
Precisely.
Then why do you come to me?
Well, it is my hope that His Majesty the German Emperor might influence the Sultan to favor our colonization.
And what may the Sultan, and indeed the Kaiser, expect in return?
The gratitude of an unforgetful people.
More practically speaking?
More practically speaking, a friendly and grateful people lying along the route to the east, bringing a desert to life which can never be but in the interest of all peoples, bringing civilization and stability and a culture into a vacuum of heat and sterility. We will make the desert yield many things for the advantage of all.
It is a nice fancy, Dr. Herzl.
It is the outlines of reality which you may have a part in filling out.
What do you propose as the next step?
An audience with the Kaiser, Your Excellency.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Herzl, in that respect. It certainly won't fail to make an impression with the Sultan if I show interest in your scheme. However...
It will make a profound impression, Your Majesty.
Just what is it you want me to ask of the Sultan?
A chartered company.
The land you have in mind, Doctor, is very hot. It needs water.
We will provide water, Your Majesty.
But it will cost big.
What we cannot do with funds, we will do with the sweat of our brows.
That's a good idea, of course.
An idea, Your Majesty, whose realization is the concern of every civilized nation on earth.
Yes. Well, the notion must be made the subject of further investigation and discussion. It must not be dropped indefinitely.
It must not be dropped indefinitely. Need I say to you, Herzl, my friend, what that really means in the polite diplomacy of Central Europe?
No, Weizmann.
It means the issue is dead, verboten. Forget it.
I know.
Well, then why bother with the Kaiser? Why trouble yourself with the Sultan, as you say you will? They'll do nothing. You know it.
I know also that time grows short for me. I must try everything for our people.
You want me to tell you something else? Out of my positive conviction and out of my respect for you.
Anything?
History, if it concerns itself at all with us, will say that I, Chaim Weizmann, was a leader in the opposition to you in the Congress. It's true enough. But Zion is our common goal. We seek a somewhat different path. True?
Go on.
Did I say to you that our approach to Zion must be more democratic? Our leadership included, Herzl. And just as important, what you aim for, what we all aim for, can only be done by the people, not for the people, as you're trying to do.
Do you say they're not ready for a homeland of their own?
I say that the movement for a homeland must rise from the will and the effort of the people themselves. The movement must be a consequence of a greater democracy in the whole fabric of the scheme, a sense of the Jewish culture spread throughout our people, when they know what and who they are, and count on the correctness of their aspirations and on their will to achieve them. It is a pretty good speech, huh?
I think so, Chaim Weizmann. I think so.
I didn't expect it to convince you.
Well, I must not be swayed from trying everything while I yet breathe. And after all, the Sultan is a powerful ruler.
Chaim Weizmann is right. The Sultan draws out his negotiations endlessly. Until Herzl knows what he knew before he started, there is no help there. Theodor Herzl, the gallant of Vienna 6 years ago, at 41 now, is an old man.
The wind blows through the stubble. I must march now on the double. It is 6 years since I began this movement. I've become old and tired and poor. I do not think I have much longer. The attacks come oftener and are worse. If I am to see success in my lifetime, I must hurry.
A third Zionist Congress, and a fourth. And in December of the winter of Theodor Herzl's despair and deadly weariness, the fifth Zionist Congress meets again at Basel. Opposition is stronger. Disaffection, fragmentation, wheels within wheels within wheels. But there is progress. The structure of the Zionist machinery is completed. The creation of the Jewish National Fund to purchase land in Palestine is accomplished. Perhaps next year in Jerusalem.
We may today declare that we have at least finished our initial tasks.
Herzl speaks. The pallor of his fate is upon him.
Our institutions are only outlined. The Jewish people can begin to fill them in. In doing so, this one or that one may fall out of the ranks. The cause itself always goes on.
A last effort to realize his goal within his own lifetime. In England, the threat of cheap labor from heavy Jewish immigration fleeing from persecution results in a royal commission to study the problem. Herzl, a dying but famous man, is to be a witness. Lord Rothschild, concerned over Herzl's forthcoming appearance before the commission, hears Herzl in private first.
You ask me, my lord, what I shall tell the commission? Simply that frightful wretchedness prevails among the Eastern Jews. They must get out or die. In Galicia alone, there are 700,000 destitute Jews.
I wish you would not say that before the commission. It can lead only to restrictive legislation.
And I have a plan to offer the commission.
What is it?
I want to found a Jewish colony in British territory.
Take Uganda.
Well, my followers hope for Palestine. They have much to offer in the way of stability there and productivity where there's only wasteland now. The people of the book, if you please, my lord, keeping watch for all faiths over the land of the book.
But Palestine, I'm afraid not, Dr. Herzl.
Then what about the Sinai Peninsula? Egyptian Palestine? Cyprus, my lord. Good. May 11th, 1903, I'm finished. Egypt will not allow us in Egyptian Palestine, and my own people have their hearts rooted forever in the land of their early faith. I cannot quarrel with their deep conviction that their peace and their redemption are intimately mixed with the soil of Palestine. They cannot accept Uganda. I am spent. I can do no more, except perhaps go once more before the Actions Committee and then... My dear friends, if the English offer of Uganda, I still say, here is a piece of bread. I who have cake have not the right to reject the piece of bread which is offered the poor because I do not need it. Believe me, I cherish in my spirit the cry of our fathers. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its cunning. I will not press you to accept East Africa. I will not ask you to do violence to your convictions as Zionists. I will only, before I bid you goodbye, dear friends, I will only say, do not fix your eyes on an uncompleted house. My friends, Shalom.
And so, good night. July 3, 1904. Theodor Herzl is dead. Behold, O my people, saith the prophet, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves. and bring you into the land of Israel. Southeast out of Vienna, across the Mediterranean Sea, across the land, bumping in the turbulence of the rising desert air, an airplane, 1949. In the distance, solemn crowds wait tensely for the precious cargo, the body of their great leader, Herzl. Below, the great coastal cities of Tel Aviv, Haifa, the promised land glittering in the desert. Across a road at Beth HaKarem near Jerusalem are banners that cry out from yesterday, if you will it, it is no dream. Dusk on Mount Herzl, highest mountain in Judea. Southeast out of Vienna, across the sea, bumping in the turbulence of the rising desert air, Theodor Herzl has come home. Home from a Viennese grave. Home in the bosom of the dream he dreamed. The Yiskadal said, now listen, Herzl. Hear us out. A different drum from the unjust drum of yesterday. This drum is pride and honor and justice. This is a nation you dreamed among its own flags. Dusk on the mountain. Slowly, Israel winds down the slopes. Israel, 1949. Theodor Herzl is home.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mr. Milton Sperling, Chairman of the Board of Overseers of the University of Judaism. Mr. Sperling.
The life and message of Theodor Herzl can be summed up in the saying, which has in fact become almost synonymous with his name, if you will it, it is no dream. The dream of the return of the Jewish people to its ancient homeland did not originate with Herzl. From the moment the exile began, the dream was fashioned and nurtured in prayer and song, in lamentation and memory. Herzl's great achievement was to take that ancient dream and to create from it a reality. He did not actually create the state. That was destined to take 50 years. But by believing himself, and by inspiring others to believe, by willing it, and by influencing others to will it, he began the process of redemption. After the First Zionist Congress in 1897, Herzl wrote these memorable words in his diary. At Baal, I founded the Jewish state. If I were to say this today, I would be met by universal laughter. In 5 years, perhaps, and certainly in 50, everyone will see it. He was strangely prophetic. Exactly 50 years later, the state of Israel took its place among the family of nations. But for those whom Herzl had taught and inspired, the Jewish state became a reality the moment they began to believe in it and to work for its establishment. It really does not matter that Herzl did not live to actually see the Jewish state, for the idea to which he had dedicated his life was immortal, and thus he became immortal. His life and achievements are an inspiration to those who are dedicated to great and noble ideas. He taught the world by his example. To possess faith is to fashion reality. To believe is to know fulfillment. For all the great aspirations of mankind, Herzl speaks to us today and says, if you will it, it is no dream.
Thank you, Mr. Sperling. Our Eternal Light drama today, Different Drums, was written by Milton Geiger. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Appearing in the role of Theodore Herzl was Lou Ayres, producer of the documentary film Children of Abraham. Featured in the cast were Hy Averback, Ramsey Hill, Howard Culver, Lou Merrill, Donald Lawton, Frank Gerstle, Lawrence Dobkin, Stanley Farrar. The music was written by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Robert Armbruster. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Andrew C. Love. This weekly program is presented from Hollywood, transcribed under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
This is the NBC Radio Network.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The Eternal Light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, the program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Today's program, written by Joseph Mindell, is entitled There Is Always Purim, and is presented in celebration of the festival of Purim.
There he is! The stage manager is coming out!
Say it for us, children, da-da-dee-dee-da-da.
Well, we're ready to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear maestro, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Maestro. My dear children, ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set, the lights are down. It's time to introduce the players. First to appear, and first in our hearts, as good as she is beautiful, Esther.
My only desire is to serve my people.
And now, steadfast and strong, her uncle, Mordecai.
You'll find me at the gates when I am needed.
And, of course, there is King Ahasuerus.
Yes, laugh if you want to. A man is entitled to be himself, no matter what.
Finally, how would there be Purim if not for him whose villainy makes his very name Haman?
Go ahead. I'm used to it. Only why don't you wait and see? Even Haman, even I have a right to a hearing.
Please, everybody, please put away your groggers and your clappers.
But, Mr. Stage Manager, it's Purim.
I know. Tradition is on your side. But how will you know what happens if you drown out his words every time Haman speaks? There, you've established the principle. Now no more noise. The curtain opens. The players take their places. The story begins. In the city of Shushan, in the days of Ahasuerus, who reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces, in those days in Shushan, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, a Benjamite. And he brought up Hadassah, that is, Esther, for his own daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The maiden was of beautiful form and fair to look on, and her countenance was radiant as the moon on a starless night. But on this day, in Mordecai's house, there were tears in Esther's eyes.
What shall I do when the king's soldiers reach this house?
There is nothing you need do, Esther, except perhaps your hair. A little brushing, maybe.
I'll cut off my hair.
What's wrong, my dear?
Mordecai, I don't want to be queen.
Is that what it is?
I don't want to go to the palace with the king's soldiers.
Many a girl would be pleased at the opportunity.
Then let them go.
They will. The soldiers are gathering maidens from every province in the kingdom.
Mordecai, I don't want to be queen.
It may very well be that the king will not choose you.
Oh.
But if he does, my dear, sometimes things happen that we do not want. And sometimes they are for the best.
Open the door.
Help me, Mordecai. Please help me.
If that's what you want.
In the king's name, open up.
Coming! I'm coming! Hide yourself, Esther, quickly. Well, you don't have to break the door down.
Well, it took you long enough.
I'm sorry. I was busy.
You know why I'm here.
Yes, I know. The census. I have no children of my own.
Who lives here with you?
As I said, I am a widower.
Mm-hmm. No maidens?
Why should I lie to you?
I suppose it would be foolish. Why would a man give up a chance to be the king's father-in-law?
Why, indeed?
All right, I'll make a note of it. The house of Mordecai. No maiden... What is this?
Oh, that? Oh, that, it's a sandal.
I can see that. Whose sandal is it?
Mine, of course.
Yours.
You're thinking that it is very small. I did not mean that I wear it, only that it belongs to me. It has a sentimental value.
Where is she?
You must not jump to conclusions.
Do I have to tear the walls down to find her?
Here I am.
Well, for the trouble you've given me, I should... Well, you have a very pretty face, girl.
Try to reconcile yourself, Esther. You see how things happen.
I don't want it to happen to me.
Well, it doesn't matter what you want. Come along to the palace.
The king will be here in a very short time, girls. Listen to me very carefully. You two stop fighting. Now listen. I'll give you some good advice. Don't pinch your cheeks or bite your lips to make them red. Don't pose like a statue. Don't wiggle and don't coquette. Just be natural. And let the king choose. Here he comes.
Stop those trumpets! Stop those... Oh, I can't take a step without trumpets.
Welcome, Your Majesty. Your loyal subjects.
Oh, never mind the formalities, Chamberlain. I'll get on with what has to be done.
I'm sorry to see that you're still irritable.
Yes, I'm sorry, too. But I've been irritable ever since Vashti compelled me to... Well, ever since Vashti's gone.
About the late Queen Vashti, I did warn you not to make a hasty decision.
I don't need a Chamberlain to give me warnings. Your duty is to keep me from doing things I'll be sorry for.
But that's...
Stop spluttering and let's begin.
Very well. Your Majesty, here before you are the most beautiful maidens in all the kingdom. Choose your wife and queen. This one, perhaps?
No.
Then this one.
Not this one or that one or the next. No. Send them all home, Chamberlain.
If you would only look more closely, Your Majesty.
I said send them home. Wait. That girl on the end. She hides her face. She turns her back. How graceful. How charming. How captivating. How... What nonsense! I won't say these lines. Stage manager, I will not say these lines.
Ladies and gentlemen, remain in your seats. Please be calm.
Ahasuerus, what's the matter with you?
I will not be laughed at unnecessarily.
But nobody's laughing at you.
Oh, no wonder everybody takes me for a fool. The lines you give me to say.
What's wrong with the line?
What's wrong? This girl, look at her.
She pulls her hair over her face, crosses her eyes, twists her body, and you want me to say, how graceful, how charming, how captivating.
And that makes you seem a fool?
Of course it does. Doesn't it?
An ordinary man would certainly think the girl plain, if not ugly. But you, Ahasuerus, you're able to see beneath the grimaces and distortions. Your keen perception detects the grace and beauty that cannot be hidden.
It does? Well, I mean, when you put it that way, she's rather pretty.
The things a stage manager has to do.
You are, Esther. Beautiful, I mean.
Do I find favor in your Majesty's eyes?
Give me your hand, Esther. Come, don't be shy. See, Chamberlain, how simply she stands. So graceful, so charming, so captivating, so...
I am unworthy, sire.
Modest. Well, what are you waiting for, Chamberlain? Order a feast. Send for the musicians.
Please, you must believe me, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty. Esther, my dear, is this how you address your loving husband?
And it came to pass that the king loved Esther above all the women, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen. And Mordecai came every day to sit in the gate of the palace to be of comfort to Esther if she needed comfort.
You are well, Esther? Esther?
Do you know what I was thinking, Mordecai? I was trying to remember my house. Your house where I used to live.
Oh, it is not important to remember a house.
I have almost forgotten.
Are you unhappy, my dear?
Sometimes I'm a little lonely. But Ahasuerus is kind and very generous. Today he gave me 2 cities.
Oh, he must be very fond of you.
Do you think so? Then why do I see him so seldom?
You must remember that a king is very busy with affairs of state.
A king has chamberlains to do his work. That's the signal. I must go back.
May God go with you.
You will be here again tomorrow.
If you want me to, Esther.
I'm not afraid anymore. It's not on that account.
I'm glad, my dear.
It's because I don't want to forget you. And I don't want to forget my people.
Mordecai sat in the gate of the palace. And it happened that 2 courtiers came and stood close by and spoke together in secret tones.
Remember, there's no turning back once we decide. I've decided. Ahasuerus must go. Good. Then we'll get rid of him. Now, this is what we'll do. Well, go on. We're being spied upon. Look there. There? The Jew sitting in the gates of the palace. They must have heard us. What of it? Jews speak no language but their own. All the same, I'll make sure.
You there! You've been eavesdropping.
What
did I tell you? He doesn't understand a word.
I must tell Esther at once.
What did you say?
Lo amarti klum.
I don't trust him, I tell you.
Come on, we're wasting time. At this rate, Ahasuerus will die of old age.
So, you came directly to me, Esther. How touching.
It was my duty, sire. They plotted against the life of my king.
Oh. Your concern was only for the king.
Was that wrong, Your Majesty?
No, of course not. Esther, my sweet, could even a very small, a tiny portion have been for, your husband?
A dutiful wife has thoughts always for her husband. Are you ill?
No, my dear. Only, you are so remarkably dutiful. Chamberlain, I have come to a decision.
No, Your Majesty, not again. 2 queens?
What are you talking about? Oh, never mind. Listen. I have been neglecting Esther.
Would you like me to find a suitable gift? Another city? Perhaps a whole province would be nice.
Oh, trifles. Besides, that's not what I mean. I have spent too little time with her. Of course, I've been so busy with What have I been busy with, Chamberlain?
A king's time is not his own.
Oh, exactly. You put it so well. Therefore, I've decided to find someone to lighten my burden.
I see what is in your mind.
I'll make him prince over all the lords, second only to me.
And I approve, at the risk of seeming immodest.
I know just the man.
But modesty must give way to duty.
I want you to notify him at once. You're spluttering again.
But here I am. I mean, notify whom?
The man I've chosen, the son of Hamadatha the Agagite.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, this is not an intermission. Maestro, please.
While the stagehands are changing the scenery, a little less noise back there. I was saying, yes. I must tell you about the son of Hamadatha, whose name, of course, was Haman. You promise? Thank you. Now, King Ahasuerus set Haman above all the princes. And the people in all the city of Shushan bowed down before Haman when he passed. But when he walked in the gates of the palace, he saw one who remained erect, and Haman spoke unto him.
Good morning, Mordecai.
I will bow down to no... Stop that living and give me my cue.
It's an unusually fine morning, isn't
What are
it?
you up to?
Now, you speak your lines, I'll take care of mine.
Stage manager, did you hear him?
Of course I heard. What's the meaning of this, Haman?
Now, don't get excited. My role can stand a little improvement.
What are you saying? The words are written. The action is determined.
Well, still, just consider. You expect me to order Mordecai to bow down before me, before Haman, second only to the king.
I will not do it.
Well, naturally not. You're a Jew. You bow down only to God. Therefore, I will not insist.
You see, stage manager, how he twists and turns and falsifies like the devil himself.
Haman, you can't change your character.
I have no desire to do so, but I'm not a fool. If Mordecai should this instant, throw himself at my feet.
Never.
Well, all right, then. What's the use of growing red in the face and making angry threats?
No use at all.
Oh, all right. I will only tell you, Mordecai, that you will live long enough to know regret.
I am not frightened, Haman.
And perhaps not only you, perhaps many people, your people, will regret your stubbornness. Your Majesty, I need the benefit of your wisdom.
Oh, that's a very nice thing to say, Haman.
Suppose a king's subjects do not give the respect due him. What then?
Oh, he must insist on it, yes. I haven't noticed any lack of respect to my person.
Do I not represent your person?
Oh, you're a sly one. I have heard the stories that are going around Shushan.
This is no laughing matter, Your Majesty.
Oh, don't be so touchy.
If the Jews fail to pay the proper respect,
well,
it is because they have their own customs, their own laws, different from your laws, and that is a great danger.
Did you really think so? Well, then we must explain to them. I'm a great believer in education, Haman.
I have spoken to them, sire, with great forbearance.
Then you must speak to them again.
There comes a time when a king, like a teacher or a father, must go beyond words and chastise his children.
You make it sound very educational, Haman. What do you have in mind?
I have taken the liberty of preparing a decree which you may want to glance over.
Oh, you're very helpful, Haman. To the governors of all the provinces and the princes over the people, let it be known that I, Haman, Ahasuerus. Haman, don't you think this is rather drastic?
To protect his kingdom, a ruler must sometimes take drastic steps.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Besides, you haven't read the last paragraph in which I offer to pay 10,000 talents of silver into the royal treasury.
Do you really? Oh, you are a great help to me, Haman.
Now in every province in the kingdom, whithersoever the king's decree came,
there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing. Mordecai, in sackcloth and ashes, came to the gates of the palace to tell Esther how Haman had bought the Jews to destroy them utterly, young and old. And when he told her that she must go to the king for the sake of her people, she said unto him, "Where is Esther? Why isn't she on the stage?"
She's in her dressing room, Mr. Stage Manager.
What's she doing there? She opens the scene.
Well, she says she doesn't care. She says she won't come out.
I order her to come out. I have some authority.
I want you to understand, I'm not a bit angry.
Oh, you're not?
I don't mind acting the pretty young thing who doesn't know her own mind, if that's what you want.
It's not what I want to count.
But beyond a certain point, I will not go.
You must go on.
You must, Esther, my dear, for the sake of your people.
I'm willing, Mordecai, but he wants me to say, no, I will not go to the king uncalled, because he may put me to death on account of a foolish law. I refuse to act in so shallow and selfish a manner.
Still, if you go to the king, you do risk your life.
What of it? Shall I be safe when you are threatened with destruction?
Then what I ask you to do, it is no little thing.
I do it gladly, Mordecai. For you. For my people. The signal again.
Wait, Esther.
I must go now, Mordecai.
Then go, and God go with you. Your people will remember you, Esther, as one who was not afraid.
But I am afraid a little. It is a foolish law, but nevertheless a law. Yet Ahasuerus has said that he loves me.
I do, my sweet Esther. You know I do.
How can I be sure, Your Majesty?
Well, ask whatever you desire, and you shall have it.
Anything, Your Majesty?
Even to half of my kingdom.
I ask something more. The life of Mordecai, who sits in the palace gates.
Mordecai? Oh, yes, of course, Mordecai. No doubt you think the foolish king has forgotten him.
He is the man who said...
Well, perhaps I had forgotten, until I read in my court chronicles how he discovered the plot against me and saved my life. Who dares to threaten Mordecai?
Your second in command, the wicked Haman.
Is this how you treat the king's friend, Haman?
Your Majesty, Mordecai is the leader of the Jews who follow their own laws and defy your authority.
Now, don't change the subject. You will clothe Mordecai in royal garments and pay him the highest honors of the kingdom.
But
why am I afflicted with spluttering chamberlains? Now, do as I say. There now, Esther. I see you're still unhappy.
Because of Haman. Because of his decree against Mordecai's people.
The Queen has a tender heart, Your Majesty. She need not concern herself about a strange nation.
Mordecai's people are my people.
Well, why didn't you tell me, my dear? You and your decrees, Haman.
It's a simple matter, sire. It is only necessary to declare Queen Esther, shall we say, an honorary Persian.
My heart is a Jewish heart. Will you change that, too?
Now, don't upset yourself, Esther, my dear. Haman, you've gone too far.
But your royal king sealed the decree.
Now stick to the point, Haman, which is clearly that you have done evil and must be punished. Mordecai!
I am here, Your Majesty.
Oh, yes, so you are. Well, yes. I set you in Haman's place as prince over all the lords of the kingdom.
Oh, no. That is, it isn't necessary. As a matter of fact, my God...
I insist, Mordecai.
Then I am honored, sire.
As your first official act, you will see that Haman is hanged to the gallows he built for you.
Perhaps I am not sufficiently bloodthirsty to be a prime minister. I was about to suggest that exile...
Oh, no. His fate must serve as a lesson and a warning to evil Hamans of the future.
Is the lesson that evil is punished, Your Majesty? Is it not rather that good is preserved?
It's an interesting question, Mordecai. We must discuss it someday. For now, I am pleased that everything ends so well.
In the name of my people, I thank Your Majesty.
That is for His Majesty the King, my lovely Esther. Now, what words do you have for, your husband?
I am very happy. Ahasuerus.
Purim children, da-da-dee-dee-da-da. A lovely day, a lovely story. And this is the end. Let the music play, let us dance and sing, for it is a happy end. And if, my dear people, there should sometime arise another Haman, do not despair. Only remember this, there is always Purim.
If you would like a copy of today's script, please send your name and address with 10 cents to cover the cost of postage and handling to the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. And now we take great pleasure in presenting Mrs. Anita Levison, prominent civic leader of Winnetka, Illinois. Mrs. Levison.
The long calendar of Jewish history, stretching from the destruction of the temple to the annihilation of 6 million Jews in our day, provides few occasions for celebration. The festival of Purim is unique. The miraculous deliverance which it celebrates was accomplished by a woman called Esther or Hadassah. This narrative of rescue and survival is, says the Babylonian Talmud, to be read in order to commemorate the miracle of Purim. And Josephus describes Purim as shared joy and banquetry and holiday. Many touching examples of special Purim celebrations abound in Jewish history. Whenever calamity was averted and a miraculous deliverance achieved, a special Purim of gratulation and exaltation was declared in honor of the place and the event. So in the year 1236, when the life of Rabbi Meir of Narbonne was placed in jeopardy and his library looted, tragedy was averted and the rabbi and his followers were spared and the library restored, and the Purim of Narbonne was instituted. Other Purims marked miracles and were established at Chios, Ancona, Vilna, Cairo. Perhaps the day will come when the Jews of America will celebrate Purim of America, to mark the hour of history when exile or extermination was the choice of the Jews of Europe. Then, miracle of miracles, America was discovered in 1492, and a place of refuge was opened up for the exiled Jews of Europe. The finding of a vast, fertile, hitherto unknown hemisphere was surely an act of God, an authentic miracle. In the succeeding centuries, America became a haven for the tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Sanctuary and deliverance and opportunity were here. Here was a sacred, ineffable moment of history, a deliverance worthy of commemoration as Purim America.
Thank you, Mrs. Levison. Our Eternal Light drama today, There Was Always Purim, was written by Joseph Mendel and is presented in celebration of the festival of Purim. Cantor Robert Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. Featured in the cast were Ruth Last, Leon Janney, Ralph Bell, Louis Soren, John Larkin, Guy Repp, DeSantis Ortega, and Roger DeKoven. The music was written by Morris Nomorsky and conducted by Roy Shields. This has been an NBC Radio Network production directed by Daniel Sutter. This weekly program is presented under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America.
This is the NBC Radio Network.